I would request Jen to begin with the program.
Thank you, ma'am. We are just waiting for live. Yeah, now live is start, so I can start. Thanks for your permission. Good evening to one and all. On the occasion of Independence Day session, I, Jayant Agrawal, as a student coordinator of this event, on behalf of the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, welcome you all for today's session on the topic Civil Services in India, Historical and Contemporary Trajectory, which is on the eve of 75th Independence Day celebration. Before starting of the session, please follow some webinar etiquettes. I request to all participants to keep their microphone on mute and camera off during the session. In case you have any question, then please use the chat box only. You will receive feedback form in between the session, so do fill it for certificate purpose. To begin with, let's start with the university song. Muskan, please play.
May I request to all of you to stand on your places?
सारवनारा अमे ज्योति जलावी सृष्टिनावरी सहसा सर्जनहारा अमे वडोदराना विद्यापीठना सपना सारवनारा अमे ज्योति जलावी सृष्टिनावरी सहसा सर्जनहारा हमें गगन कुसुम कर धरनारा हमें मगन मगन थई फरनारा अगन बात हमें भरनारा हमें दैन्य तिमिरने हरनारा हमें वडोदराना विद्यापीठना सपना सारवनारा हमें ज्योति जलावी सृष्टिनावली सहसा सर्जनहारा श्री सयाजी विद्यापीठना ज्ञानदीपने धरनारा श्री सयाजी विद्यापीठना ज्ञानदीपने धरनारा सत्यं शिवं सुन्दरं नो मन्त्रनन्तर हरनारा
Thank you, Muskan, for playing university song. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Anita Shukla ma'am, Dean of Students and coordinator of this program, to introduce Dr. Jyoti Pandya ma'am, who may deliver opening remarks. Anita ma'am, over to you.
Neha, there is an issue in my not able to hear.
नमस्कार।
Yeah.
आज के इस कार्यक्रम में मैं डॉक्टर अनीता शुक्ल आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत करती हूँ और फैकल्टी ऑफ आर्ट्स महाराजा सयाजीराव विश्वविद्यालय की तरफ से इस ई पुष्पगुच्छ से आप सभी का स्वागत है। हमारे इस कार्यक्रम, हमारे इस ई संगोष्ठी सिविल सर्विसेज इन इंडिया हिस्टोरिकल एंड कंटेम्पररी ट्रांजैक्टरी के पेट्रन सम्माननीय हमारे कुलपति महोदय प्रोफेसर परिमल व्यास जी, आज के की नोट स्पीकर डॉक्टर JN सिंह जी, आज के थीमेटिकल रिमार्क्स जिनका है श्री शक्ति सिन्हा जी, आज की हमारी मुख्य अतिथि डॉक्टर ज्योति पंड्या शेठ जी, आज के हमारे अतिथि वक्ता प्रोफेसर अमित ढोलकिया जी, विशिष्ट अतिथि डॉक्टर जिगर इनामदार जी, हमारी डीन महोदया फैकल्टी ऑफ आर्ट्स की प्रोफेसर आद्या सक्सेना जी और AICSTC के निदेशक प्रोफेसर S मुखर्जी जी का मैं इस ई पुष्पगुच्छ से स्वागत करती हूँ। और इसके साथ ही मैं आप सभी के लिए, आप सभी के समक्ष प्रस्तुत कर रही हूँ आज की हमारी अतिथि, आज की हमारी मुख्य वक्ता डॉक्टर ज्योति पंड्या शेठ जी। कुछ कारण से स्क्रीन आगे नहीं जा रहा है। जयंत, क्या आप हमें सुन पा रहे हैं?
जयंत, आप अपने आप को अनम्यूट करें पहले।
जयंत,
We are able to listen to you, Dr. Shukla. You may please continue.
we are honored to have Dr. Jyoti Pandya Sheth ji with us. Dr. Pandya holds various designations and executes many responsibilities. To name a few, she is Vice President Mahila Morcha. She was Mayor, 24th Mayor Vadodara. She is Director Social Welfare and many more. Madam, we welcome you and look forward to listen to you the words of wisdom and leadership. Now we are here, we are waiting to listen to you. Over to you, madam.
Namaste, Dr. Shukla, Dr. Jain Singh ji. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So सभी को नमस्ते कहती हूँ और परिमल व्यास जी भी यहाँ हैं, आदरणीय पीसी सर और ढोलकिया साहब, जिगर भाई, आदरणीय जैन सिंह जी, सभी को नमस्ते और 15 अगस्त की पूर्व संध्या को बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। I am honored and really glad to have such a wonderful evening with you all today. MS University is known for various creative programs and a lot of guidance to the students and the civilians also. आज मैं समझती हूँ काफी सारे स्टूडेंट्स भी हमसे जुड़े हुए हैं. There are more than 167 participants as I see here, and respected guest. और जो भी मार्गदर्शन आज मिलने वाला है सचमुच लाइफ को कहीं अलग दिशा भी दे सकता है. मैं चाहती हूँ कि स्टूडेंट्स भी इसमें कहीं ना कहीं दिल से जुड़ें. सबसे पहले मैं सभी को 75 साल जो हमारे आज़ादी के होने जा रहे हैं और इस आजादी के अमृत पर्व की शुभकामनाएं और बहुत बहुत बधाइयां देती हूँ। भारत देश को स्वतंत्रता काफी मूल्यों को देने के बाद मिली है, काफी सारी संघर्षों के बाद मिली है, लेकिन ये आजादी को हमने बहुत संजो के रखा है और इस डेमोक्रेसी को, जो दुनिया की सर्वश्रेष्ठ डेमोक्रेसी है उनमें से हम एक कह सकते हैं, और हमारे हिंदुस्तान में हर एक नागरिक को अधिकार इतने ज्यादा मिले हैं और स्वयं अपनी ड्यूटीज भी सब लोग कर ही रहे हैं, लेकिन चूंकि लिटरेसी और भी अधिक बढ़ानी है, कई सारे देश के ऐसे भी कोने हैं जहाँ पे हम लोगों को और भी बच्चे, बड़े, बूढ़े, एडल्ट सभी को not only literacy but in the real sense we need to train them for their duties, their rights and well-being. सबने महाराजा सयाजीराव यूनिवर्सिटी के साथ जुड़े आज यहाँ मौजूद है। आज बड़ा अच्छा विषय लिया है सिविल सर्विसेज और उसके मायने, और विद्यार्थी स्टूडेंट्स they really keen on doing their professional work in their lives and want to have always a very happy, healthy, rather I would say progressive life they are dreaming nowadays. They have a sort of, higher level of their intellectuals. They want to have their national spirit also, and at the same time, सभी हिंदुस्तानी बच्चे जो करिश्मा दुनिया के प्लेटफॉर्म पर दिखा रहे हैं, उससे ये महसूस होता है कि हमारा जो ब्रेन है, हिंदुस्तान का जो ब्रेन है, वो बहुत सर्वोत्तम और अच्छा है, पॉजिटिव माइंड वाला है। तो ये पॉजिटिव माइंड, ये फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी, ये सब उनकी हैबिट्स जो हमारे देश के लिए बहुत गरिमामय स्वरूप लेकर के दुनिया के प्लेटफॉर्म पर बाकियों के भी प्रोग्रेस में ये जो यूथ है वो हेल्पफुल हो रहा है। आज सिविल सर्विसेज की बात आदरणीय सिंह साहब तो करेंगे ही, जो स्वयं भी इतने अनुभवों के साथ यहाँ बैठे हैं। उन्होंने गुजरात के मुख्य सचिव होने के नाते कई सारे निर्णयों में और कई सारे एग्जीक्यूशन ऑफ द पॉलिसीज में पार्टिसिपेट किया है। एंड आई रियली रिस्पेक्ट इवन Dr. Parimal Vyas sir, because he has been very progressive. Chunki I am a proud Barodian and proud citizen of Baroda, I had a scope to remain mayor also during 2010 and 13. But because of having Maharaja Sayajirao University, and I was a student once upon a time, I did my MA with history and regularly I used to go to college, and I learned it, that Maharaja Gaikwad and the whole family, they were dedicated for the education, and ultimately Vadodara city is the proud city to be a literate, to be a hub of the education, hub of the culture, and much more than even those days and now also. So we are proud Barodians to have Maharaja University, and as I know that
मेरे
some
को
faculties
तो
like
इटनरी तो कम से कम पर्सनली भेजो, पर्सनल मैसेज पे इटनरी करना, ताकि मुझे भी पता रहे कि मुझे कब इंट्रो करना है उनका।
somebody's voice is coming.
आप म्यूट हो जाइए साहब, सुनने दीजिए डॉक्टर पांड्या को।
मैडम प्लीज कंटिन्यू, नाउ इट इज फाइन, प्लीज कंटिन्यू। ज्योति मैम, यू आर ऑन म्यूट, प्लीज अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ।
होम साइंस फैकल्टी हमारी और बेहतरीन फैकल्टी रहे हैं, और आने वाले समय में सिविल सर्विसेज का जो अभी लीडरशिप ट्रेनिंग के बहुत सारे नए प्रोग्राम्स और कोर्सेज शुरू किए हैं। मैं बधाई देती हूँ यूनिवर्सिटी की सारी टीम को, जिगर भाई को, क्योंकि चूंकि ये प्रोग्राम्स लीडरशिप के कहीं नहीं हुए हैं, और मेरे सुनने में जो अच्छी तरह से साल भर के प्रोग्राम्स और इस तरह से वेरियस सिलेबस इज गिवन, आई थिंक इट रिक्वायर्स लॉट ऑफ करेज। नाउ आई विल से समथिंग अबाउट सिविल सर्विसेज। मुझसे भी जानकार अधिक लोग आप सब हैं, लेकिन मैं प्रैक्टिकल फील्ड में हूँ एंड आई वर्क विद पॉलिटिकल फील्ड आल्सो. So making policies is a different thing and execution of the policies is a different thing. And a citizen who is going to become a responsible person of the nation, if he's carrying or she's carrying a different thought process, different passion, then it will add to the national growth also. So civil services is such a part of education, such a part of social reform also, because everyone wants to have a professional life with a passion. और अगर सिविल सर्विसेज में जाते हैं बच्चे और अलग अलग परीक्षाएं दे करके बाहर आते हैं तो उनका लाइफ का पूरा अलग ही पर्सपेक्टिव हो जाता है. और मैं समझती हूँ कि सभी को डॉक्टर तो बनना नहीं है, सभी को इंजीनियर तो बनना नहीं है, सभी को टीचर प्रोफेसर बनना नहीं है. तो few of them they are going in the civil services and they are doing wonderful from MS University also. And apart from it, देश भर में आज इसका बड़ा महिमा है. क्योंकि कुछ समय बीच में ऐसा गया कि पॉलिटिक्स को अलग नजरों से देखा गया, सिविल सर्विसेज को अलग नजरों से देखा गया. लेकिन अब जबकि भारत देश की लीडरशिप कुछ ऐसे हाथों में है, rather I would say Modi ji is a very growing leader in the platform of whole world. और उसके रहते देश भर में एक सजागता आई है, एक जागरूकता आई है कि भाई हम लोग भारतवासी हैं. आई एम अ प्राउड इंडियन सिटीजन और इसको लेके मुझे भी मेरे देश के लिए कुछ ना कुछ कंट्रीब्यूट करना है. ये एक भावना सबके मन में जगी और खास करके यूथ बहुत ही अलर्ट है एंड दे आर वेरी कॉम्पिटेंट वर्ल्ड वाइड. और दूसरा ये भी हुआ है कि सोशल मीडिया और टेक्नोलॉजी इज सो फास्ट ग्रोइंग. बिकॉज ऑफ दैट these students from Gujarat and India, they are doing a lot of competition in the world platform. तो सिविल सर्विसेज में अगर ईमानदारी से पैशन के साथ जो काम किया जाता है, जो अच्छे संस्कारों के साथ काम, तो देश का अच्छा काम, देश का भला कर सकते हैं. और हमारी जो कल्पना है कि दुनिया भर में भारत देश सबसे आगे हो, क्योंकि हमारी सबसे पुरानी संस्कृति, सबसे पुराना कल्चर होने के नाते वी आर रियली हैविंग अ रिच हेरिटेज. और साथ साथ में गुरु आश्रम की जो परंपरा रही, ग्रोथ और इंक्लूसिव एजुकेशन पाता, खाली बालक माँ के पेट से बाहर आने के बाद माता उसको इस तरह से कल्टीवेट करती है कि वो अच्छा जवाब अच्छी हो, उसकी सच्चाई, उसकी ईमानदारी और एक अच्छा इंसान होने के नाते वो समाज को कुछ दे सके. इस तरह से त्याग और बलिदान के बलबूते पर हमारे देश की संस्कृति का अलग जगह हुआ है और दुनिया भर में बड़ा रिस्पेक्ट हो रहा है इसका. हमारी संस्कृति में योग की हो या शिक्षा, विविध संस्थाओं को बोलते ना गर्थू थी, हमारी अपनी एक पैटर्न के साथ जी रहे हैं और अच्छा बना रहे हैं. भले वो यूके हो, अमेरिका, ऑस्ट्रेलिया हो, न्यूजीलैंड हो, वहां जाकर के ये इंटेलिजेंट बच्चे बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं. तो हम चाहते हैं कि हमारे देश के बच्चे में आए और सिविल सर्विसेज में आने के बाद वो लोग देश के लिए, अपने भारत देश के लिए अच्छा काम करें. अगर ये सब हमारे ख्वाहिशें, हमारे ख्वाब, हमारे ड्रीम्स सच होकर के आएंगे, तब हमारा देश अपना जो स्वप्न है उसको साकार करता हुआ देखेगा. लेकिन ये सब कुछ आप सब नई पीढ़ी के लिए बड़ा चैलेंज भी है, लेकिन हमें श्रद्धा है क्योंकि चूंकि आप लोग अच्छी तरह से कल्टीवेट हुए हैं, भारत की पद्धति संस्कृति में आप बड़े पले हैं, तो आप जरूर कर पाएंगे. कोरोना का जो पेंडेमिक गया है उसमें से हम लोग बच के निकले हैं और ईश्वर का हमको बहुत बड़ा आशीर्वाद मिला है कि हम लोग इस महामारी में इतनी बड़ी पॉपुलेशन होने के बावजूद भी भारत देश के संसाधनों में से बाहर आए हैं और बहुत नया भी हम लोग सीख रहे हैं. आत्मनिर्भर भारत हुआ है। वैक्सीनेशन जो कभी हमारे देश में नहीं बनती थी, इसमें हमने अपनी खुद की वैक्सीनेशन 2 बना ली है, कोविशील्ड हो या कोवैक्सीन। तो देश के 50 करोड़ लोग आज 15 अगस्त आजादी के पर्व की पूर्व संध्या पर वैक्सीनेटेड हो चुके हैं, और ये बहुत गर्व की बात है। लेकिन मैं कहूंगी कि ये सब अचीवमेंट्स के बाद भी अगर ये सारी आजादी जो लोकशाही की है, जो परंपराओं की है, जो संस्कृति की है, इनको बचा के संजो के रखना होगा, तो हम आप नव युवा पीढ़ी की ओर देखते हैं। हम आपके तरफ से आशा रखते हैं कि आप लोग भी इस देश को और अच्छा कल्टीवेट करने के लिए, इस देश को और भी बढ़िया बनाने के लिए, इसकी व्यवस्थाओं को बेहतरीन तरीके से, अमीर गरीब, पढ़ा लिखा अनपढ़, कोने में बैठा हुआ गांव का हो या कोई शहरी व्यक्ति हो, सभी लोगों तक अच्छी सुविधाएं पहुंचाने में आप लोग सब मददरूप हो सकते हैं। कोई आईएएस ही बने ये जरूरी नहीं है। सिविल सर्विसेज आर विद द मेनी डिफरेंट कोर्स एंड कंडक्ट्स। यू ऑल कैन ज्वाइन इन डिफरेंट वेरियस सर्विसेज, लेकिन अल्टीमेट गोल यही है कि पैशनेट होकर के, बड़ी इच्छा शक्ति के साथ आप लोग सब जब ये काम करेंगे, तो मुझे बहुत बहुत मन में आशा भी है, श्रद्धा भी है और उम्मीदें भी है कि इस देश को आने वाले बहुत थोड़े समय में आप लोग बहुत ऊंचाई पर ले जा सकेंगे। आज मैं जयंत को भी बधाई देना चाहती हूँ, और सारी टीम को, जिन लोग पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे हैं, जिन्होंने ये अच्छा सा प्रोग्राम बनाया है, कि भाई ये जरूरत है ये इस तरीके के कार्यक्रमों की, जिसमें जैन सिंह साहब के जैसे और भी हमारे जो स्पीकर्स आ रहे हैं, वो लोग पूरी सिविल सर्विसेज की टेक्निकल माहिती देने वाले हैं। तो ये सब जरूरी विषयों को लेकर के आज वर्चुअल प्रोग्राम रखा है। मैडम आद्या जी को तो मैं जानती हूँ, हम लोग साथ में भी रहे हैं, तो आपको भी बहुत बहुत बधाई। आर्ट्स फैकल्टी को बधाई। आदरणीय धोड़के साहेब, जिगर भाई, आप लोग बहुत बढ़िया तरीके से स्टूडेंट्स के लिए बहुत कुछ कर भी रहे हैं, लेकिन मैं चाहती हूँ कि स्टूडेंट्स भी इसमें स्वयं पैशनेट होकर के जुड़े, और आने वाले समय में सिविल सर्विसेज बहुत अच्छी कामगिरी है, इसको गरिमा के साथ, गौरव के साथ आप लोग सब अपनाएं। और सिविल सर्विसेज में भी छोटे छोटे प्रोग्राम्स भी नए सिलेबस के साथ आए, कि जिसकी वजह से मैं तो सिंह साहब जैसे काफी अनुभवी लोगों से रिक्वेस्ट भी करती हूँ कि जो बच्चे बहुत ज्यादा लंबा समय नहीं पढ़ना चाहते हैं, आफ्टर देयर स्कूलिंग एंड ग्रेजुएशन, इफ दे वांट टू हैव स्मॉल प्रोग्राम्स of a year or 2, they should have some syllabus whereby they can enter into the civil services in the different areas of the execution. तो अर्बन रूरल सभी में काम करना हम लोग सीखते हैं, और बहुत उसके परिणाम भी अच्छे हम लोग देख रहे हैं। और जब कर्मयोगी शिविर हुआ था गुजरात में, तब मुझे याद है कि ये सिविल सर्विसेज वालों ने बहुत बहुत योगदान दिया था। और बड़ौदा की प्रथम नागरिक होने का जब मुझे मौका मिला था, तो मुझे याद है हमारे गायकवाड़ी स्टेट का माइनर हिंट्स, शासन ना सूत्रों, ये पुस्तक जो हमारे यहाँ के दीवान ने वर्षों पहले लिखी थी, आज के सब्जेक्ट में कंटेम्पररी एंड एंशिएंट टाइम दोनों की बात की गई है। तो मैं कहूंगी कि गायकवाड़ी स्टेट, बड़ोदरा इज अ वेरी ब्लेस्ड स्टेट एंड सिटी where we have this kind of minor hints to administrate and rule the whole state, which are given into the write up. तो उसी समय से हम लोग पढ़े लिखे लोगों के होते और बहुत ही अनुभव और इच्छा शक्ति वाले लोगों के साथ रहते हुए ये पुस्तक हम लोगों जब आईएएस अधिकारियों को और सबको देते हुए मैंने मोदी जी को देखा है, और हम लोग भी देते हैं। शासन ना सूत्रों गुजराती में, अब तो उसका हिंदी अनुवाद भी हो आया है, and it is a real helpful book in the administration. And I think there are many other books, but this is connecting with the Barodian technical and education and literature. So I am really proud to be a Barodian and to be a participating person in this program today. I really thank you all for keeping me present here. And again, so many best wishes, good greetings on the early eve of 15th August. 75 साल का अमृत महोत्सव हम लोग मनाने जा रहे हैं। आप सबको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं, और आजादी की लड़ाई में जिन वॉरियर्स ने भाग लिया उन सबको भी प्रणाम वंदन करती हूँ। और फिर से एक बार पैंडेमिक में जिन लोगों ने काम किया है, जिन्होंने वॉरियर्स की तरह से अपने आप की भी चिंता किए बगैर लोगों की सेवा के लिए काम किया है, ऐसे सभी स्वयं सेवकों को मैं दिल से नमन भी करती हूँ, प्रणाम वंदन करती हूँ और चाहती हूँ कि हमारे ये यूथ, हमारे ये विद्यार्थीगण भी खुद तो अपना करे ही करे, लेकिन ऐसे मजबूत फिजिकली मेंटली रहे कि आने वाले दिनों में ये लोग समाज की भी थोड़ी सेवा कर सकें, करते ही हैं। मुझे प्राउड है आप सबका, लेकिन और भी आगे कई सारे संघर्ष और कठिनाइयां, चैलेंजेस आने वाले हैं। जैसे कि सबसे बड़ा संघर्ष आने वाला है पानी का। पानी कम होने वाला है, कहीं ना कहीं पे दरिया में पानी ज्यादा होने वाला है ग्लोबल वार्मिंग की वजह से। तो देयर आर सो मेनी चैलेंजेस वी हैव टू फेस एंड स्पेशली यूथ। तो आप सब अपना करेज बना के और व्यवस्थित जो व्यवस्थाओं के साथ के काम होते हैं उनमें जुड़े, स्वस्थ रहें, मस्त रहें। आने वाले सालों के लिए बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। धन्यवाद।
Thank you very much, Jyoti ma'am, for your opening remark. Now, I would like to invite Jai Prakash Jha, student coordinator of this webinar, to introduce Dr. Jigar Inamdar sir, who may give the welcome speech and tell us about MSU.
सबसे पहले तो मैं हृदयपूर्वक आप सभी लोगों का नमन करता हूं कि आप सब लोग अपना कीमती समय निकालकर हम सब के समक्ष और हमारे जितने भी अतिथि गण हैं वो अपना विशिष्ट समय निकालकर हम सब के बीच हम सबको मार्गदर्शित करने के लिए अपना समय निकाला। इसके लिए मैं हृदयपूर्वक आपका धन्यवाद, शुक्रगुजार हूं। और इस प्रोग्राम को सफल बनाने के लिए तमाम MS यूनिवर्सिटी, अबाउट फ्रॉम द MS यूनिवर्सिटी जितने भी विद्यार्थी हैं उन सबका भी। आज डॉक्टर जिगर इनामदार सर का जब मुझे परिचय देने की बारी आई तो मुझे बहुत ही एक इमोशनली फीलिंग्स आई कि सर, डॉक्टर जिगर इनामदार सर के बारे में जितना बोलूं उतना ही कम है, क्योंकि आज हम सब इस जितने भी ऑनलाइन वेबिनार हो और लगभग किसी भी नया इनिशिएट को जब हम उनके समक्ष रखते हैं तो बेहिचक हम सबको आगे ही नहीं हर एक मुकाम पर आकर वो सपोर्ट भी करते हैं कि नहीं यू हैव पोटेंशियल टू डू दैट। और ऐसे डॉक्टर जिगर इनामदार सर का परिचय कराना मेरे लिए एक सौभाग्य की बात है। डॉक्टर जिगर इनामदार सर जो ICCR के रीजनल डायरेक्टर है गुजरात के, साथ ही साथ द महाराजा सयाजीराव यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ बड़ौदा के सेनेट सिंडिकेट सदस्य भी है। और डॉक्टर जिगर इनामदार MS यूनिवर्सिटी से लगभग 10 से 20 साल से जुड़े हुए हैं और तमाम मुद्दों पे सर का हमेशा मार्गदर्शक हम सबको मिलता रहता है। अब मैं डॉक्टर जिगर इनामदार सर को आग्रह करता हूं कि आगे आए और खुद यूनिवर्सिटी का एक परिचय, साथ ही साथ हम सब लोगों को मार्गदर्शित करे आगे के सेशन के लिए। धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद जयप्रकाश। सभी टीम को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं, सबको बहुत बहुत बधाई देना चाहता हूं इतना सुंदर वेबिनार का आयोजन करने के लिए। ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ द महाराजा सयाजीराव विश्वविद्यालय परिवार, आई वुड लाइक टू वेलकम respected Shri J.N. Singh sir, our proud alumni and former Chief Secretary of our Gujarat State. I would like to welcome Adarniya Shakti Sinha sir, our Director for Institute of Policy Research and International Studies. Now it is Atal Bihari Vajpayee Institute of Policy Research and International Studies. Shakti Sinha ji was also Secretary to the Prime Minister of India, Adarniya Atal ji, and we are fortunate enough to have him as a director of our AI Press. I would like to welcome Adarniya Jyotiben Pandya, an elder sister for me, and the first and foremost introduction is she is elder sister for me and so many people like me. She was the mayor of Baroda. Right now she is national vice president of BJP's Women Wing. I would like to welcome Shri Professor Amit Dholakia sir, head of the Department of Political Science, and our former registrar, former Senate and Syndicate member, and former provost of the GSFC University. I would like to congratulate Professor Adya Saxena ma'am and Professor Surjit Mukherjee sir for organizing such a nice webinar for the MS University and for the topic which is most needed in today's time, today's era. On behalf of Maharaja Sayajirao Vishwavidyalaya, I would like to welcome all the participants, all the student coordinators, Jayant, JP, and all the team members of this webinar. The Maharaja Sayajirao University established on 30th April 1949. 1881 में एक इंस्टीट्यूट से शुरू होके 1949 में एक यूनिवर्सिटी का स्वरूप लेना, 111 डिपार्टमेंट्स, 42,000 से ज्यादा विद्यार्थी, और 272 एकड़ का कैंपस महाराजा सयाजीराव विश्वविद्यालय को एक अनोखा स्वरूप प्रदान करता है। महाराजा सयाजीराव विश्वविद्यालय एक रेसिडेंशियल प्रकार की यूनिवर्सिटी है और पूरे विश्व में एक अलग प्रकार की नामना प्राप्त, ख्याति प्राप्त यूनिवर्सिटी का एक पार्ट होने का मुझे गौरव है। हम सभी यहाँ पर आदरणीय अमित ढोलकिया सर, आदरणीय शक्ति सिन्हा जी, आदरणीय जयंत सिंह सर और आदरणीय ज्योति बहन उनको सुनने के लिए उपस्थित हैं। इसी समय में आप सबका स्वागत करते हुए वक्ता और श्रोता आपके और हमारे अतिथियों के बीच में ज्यादा समय न लेते हुए आप सबका फिर एक बार हृदयपूर्वक स्वागत करते हुए मैं आप सबसे विदा लूंगा। आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आप सबका हृदयपूर्वक बहुत बहुत स्वागत।
Thank you.
Thank you, Jigar sir, for your welcome speech. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Virendra Singh sir, Dean of Sport and Program Coordinator of this webinar, to give introduction of Shakti Sinha sir, who may deliver us the theme of today's topic. Virendra sir, over to you.
Thank you, Jayant. Good evening, all the respected guests and the participants who are present here. It's an honor and a privilege for me to introduce Shri Shakti Sinha ji. And the difficult task is to have a brief introduction of Shri Shakti Sinha ji. It is the most difficult part for me to make the brief introduction, because if I'll be thinking of the position, any of the position which was maybe decades back he would have served of, and I wish to keep it brief and I want to remove it, then it will be kind of a dream that I have to be on that position. So it was the most difficult part for me to make a brief introduction. Currently, sir is associated with us at the Atal Bihari Vajpayee Institute of Policy Research and International Studies at the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda. He is serving as the honorary director of this institute. He is also Director General of the International Buddhist Confederation, Vigyan Bhavan, New Delhi. Prior to this, sir was Principal Secretary of Finance, Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi, holding additional charge of Principal Secretary Planning, Principal Secretary Power and related entities. Sir has also graced the positions, namely Chief Secretary, Andaman Nicobar Administration, Senior Advisor, Policy Analysis and Development, UNDP, Afghanistan, Senior Advisor to the Executive Director of the Board of the World Bank, Washington, DC, representing India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Sri Lanka, Private Secretary to the Prime Minister of India, Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, Director in the Ministry of Commerce, Government of India, Private Secretary to the Union Urban Development Minister, Government of India, Director of Education, Government of Delhi.
बस डॉक्टर हो गया, बहुत हो गया
Sir,
बहुत हो गया, धन्यवाद, बहुत हो गया।
Sir, we welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much. सबसे पहले तो ऑफ कोर्स माय गुड फ्रेंड, आज के कीनोट स्पीकर डॉक्टर जयंत सिंह, डॉक्टर ज्योति पंड्या सेठ, बड़ौदा की फॉर्मर मेयर, माय गुड फ्रेंड जिगर ईनामदार, डॉक्टर ढोलकिया, डॉक्टर आदर्श सक्सेना, श्री मुखर्जी। दोस्तों, आज का थीम बहुत ही विशेष थीम है, सिविल सर्विसेज इन इंडिया, हिस्टोरिकल एंड कंटेम्परेरी ट्रैजेक्टरी। भारत जब आजाद हुआ तो एक हमें प्रशासनिक ढांचा मिला अंग्रेजों से। उस समय के लिए वो ठीक था, क्योंकि अंग्रेज सरकार जो थी, कॉलोनियल गवर्नमेंट, उसके स्कोप ऑफ फंक्शनिंग काफी लिमिटेड होती थी आज के अनुसार। हमने उस समय बोला कि यही ढांचा को हम साथ रखेंगे, क्योंकि अगर पूरा बदलाव करना होता, और सरदार पटेल ने इसे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में बहुत अच्छा से संभाला, बोला कि इन सबको हम घर भेज देंगे, क्या कांग्रेस के कार्यकर्ता आके सरकार चलाएंगे हर स्तर पर आकर के? तो बोला कि आप लोग ऐसी बात मत कीजिए, जो ढांचा हमें मिला है। और आप अगर याद रखेंगे, आजादी जब हमें मिली थी, देश भर में दंगे चल रहे थे, 1 करोड़ लोग इधर से उधर भीतर, भारत से पाकिस्तान, पाकिस्तान से बाहर, लाखों लोग कम्युनल राइट्स में मरे थे, 550 प्रिंसली स्टेट्स भारत में मिलाना था। तो उस समय वो चाहते नहीं थे कि ऐसी कोई एक्टिविटी हो जिससे डिस्टेबलाइज हो जाए। और धीरे धीरे करते हुए क्या हुआ है, चेंज आई है, ऐसी बात नहीं है कि वही ढांचा रह गया है। उस ढांचे में हमने एक तो स्तर बढ़ा दिया है, लेवल्स बढ़ा दिया है। पहले सरकार में 3-4 लेवल थी, अब ज्यादा कर दिया है। और सरकार के जो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज हैं वो हम बहुत बढ़ाते चले गए हैं। मैं नहीं कह रहा गलत किए हैं, चले गए हैं। किसी तरह पर हमें उस पुराने ढांचे में नए काम जो दिए हैं वो हर जगह बैठ नहीं पा रहा है। तो जो आउटकम्स हम चाहते हैं, जो परिणाम हम चाहते हैं, वो मिलता नहीं है हर बार। भारत बहुत बदला है। मेरी सफेदारी से मैं आपको बता सकता हूँ देख करके कि 60s का भारत और आज का भारत करीब करीब दो अलग देश है। बहुत फर्क आया है। सड़क खाली मेन रोड पर थी, बिजली कहीं बड़े शहर में थे, गांव में कहीं नहीं थी बिजली। अगर आपको चाहिए फोन चाहिए घर में, बहुत कम लोग पास होता था, 15-16 साल आपको वेट करना पड़ेगा। स्कूटर का वेटिंग पीरियड 17 साल था। 17 साल स्कूटर का, इतना तक कि घड़ी एक मिलती थी HMT सिटीजन, उसका वेटिंग 30 दिन था। और साइकिल खरीदना होता था, उसका सबसे कम वेटिंग पीरियड था 1 हफ्ता। ये हाल थी भारत। तो अगर आप उससे आज देखें, बहुत बदलाव आया है। कमियां भी रही है, बहुत बदलाव आया है। क्या अब हम सोच सकते हैं किस तरीके से इस सिस्टम को कॉन्टेक्स्ट को देखते हुए, अगर हम कॉन्टेक्स्ट नहीं देखेंगे तो प्रॉब्लम्स आ जाती है। तो कॉन्टेक्स्ट को देखते हुए, बिना सिस्टम को डंप किए हुए, किस तरीके से उसे रेलेवेंट बनाना चाहिए। अगर हमारी प्रणाली प्रासंगिक नहीं रही तो मिसमैच आ जाता है और इसी फ्रस्ट्रेशन लोगों की बढ़ जाती है। और जब फ्रस्ट्रेशन बढ़ जाती है तो आदमी कई बार बिना समझे हुए निंदा करता है, बिना समझे हुए नकारात्मक काम करता है। अगर उसको अच्छी तरह समझाया जाए, सिचुएशन में क्लैरिटी आ जाए और अलग अलग लेवल पर पार्टिसिपेशन हो जाए, पार्टिसिपेटिव गवर्नमेंट होती है, अलग लेवल के अलग अलग रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज दी जाए, ये कुछ तरीके हैं। मैं ज्यादा डिटेल में इसलिए नहीं जाऊंगा कि आपने सही तरह से डॉक्टर JN सिंह को बुलाया है बोलने के लिए, वो इसको अच्छी तरह से जरूर समझाएंगे। शायद जो मैं बोल रहा हूँ उसके कंप्लीटली अलग बोले। दैट इज द स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ अ गुड डिस्कशन, कि हम सब अपना पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू लाते हैं और सुनाते हैं, और आप जो सुनने वाले हैं, आपको डिसाइड करना है कि क्या सही है, क्या गलत है, क्या आपको अच्छा लग रहा है, इसके आधार पर आप क्या और सोच पा रहे हैं। तो इसलिए यूनिवर्सिटी में ऐसे फंक्शंस होना, ऐसे वेबिनार होना अच्छी बात है। क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ थोड़ी सी प्रॉब्लम ये आ गई है कि हम समझते हैं पॉलिसी मेकिंग सरकार में होती है, एकेडमिक वर्क यूनिवर्सिटी में होता है, और दोनों में आपस में बातचीत है, दोनों आपस में अलग अलग रह जाए, तो वो गलत बात है। JN सिंह इज वन सच पर्सन हु हैज ब्रिज्ड दिस डिवाइड वेरी नाइसली। सिविल सर्वेंट रहते हुए भी उन्होंने PhD किया है, आपके यहाँ से किया है। आई थिंक दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ इंटरैक्शन दैट वी रियली नीड, अगर हमको अपने सुधार लगातार लाना है। क्योंकि आज की परिस्थिति कल नहीं रहेगी। क्या हम कल की परिस्थिति के लिए तैयार हैं कि नहीं? हमें निरंतर बदलाव के बारे में, बदलाव इसलिए कि बदलाव करना चाहिए, बदलाव इसलिए परिस्थिति बदली है, सुधार इसलिए कि हम और अच्छी नतीजे चाहते हैं। तो ये सब ऐसी मुद्दे हैं, तो हम सबको, ना केवल पॉलिसी मेकर्स को, बट अध्यापक को, विद्यार्थी को, सबको इस पर अमल करना चाहिए। मैं फैकल्टी ऑफ आर्ट्स का, और मैं देख रहा हूँ कि मैं भी एक को होस्ट हूँ हमारे इंस्टीट्यूट, और सिविल सर्विस ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूट मुखर्जी साहब के भी होस्ट हैं। हम सब यहाँ इकट्ठा हुए हैं, अच्छी बात है। अब आगे गाड़ी चलाइए। लेट मी वंस थैंक यू फॉर ऑर्गेनाइजिंग दिस। और आगे मैं सुनता हूँ, मुझे अनफॉर्चुनेटली क्योंकि अलग अलग पोस्ट है, मेरी एक और मीटिंग 5:30 बजे है, मैं JN सिंह साहब को पूरा नहीं सुन पाऊंगा, पर क्योंकि आप रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं, मैं देख रहा हूँ, अच्छी बात है रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं, कि बाद में आराम से बैठ के सुन पाएंगे। आई एम श्योर यू हैव लॉट्स ऑफ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग एंड थॉट प्रोवोकिंग थिंग टू टेल अस। थैंक यू वेरी वेरी मच। धन्यवाद, नमस्कार।
थैंक यू सर।
Thank you very much, sir, for theme of the program. Now, I would like to invite Keya Patel to introduce Professor Aja Saxena Ma'am, Dean, Faculty of Arts, who may give brief on activities of Faculty of Arts and AICS Training Center with respect of today's topic. Keya, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you are audible.
Good afternoon, Neha Patel ma'am.
Good
Please
afternoon.
introduce Aja Saxena ma'am.
Yes. Professor Aja Saxena is currently the Dean Faculty of Arts. She is a professor in history and the director of Center for Urban Studies and director of Women's Grievances and Redressal Cell. Ma'am also has a host of research papers and presentations to her credit. She has been a very good researcher in the field of medieval history, modern history. She also intervenes in the science and technology, history of science and technology, as well as maritime history. And ma'am has also currently done a project on Vikram Sarabhai, at which we celebrated 150 years birth centenary. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Neha. I welcome on behalf of the Faculty of Arts all the esteemed participants. I would begin with Singh Saab, Shakti Sinha Saab, Amit Bhai, of course, Jyoti Bain, who had been our student at the Department of History. And I also had a privilege to be with the All India and Central Service Training Center for quite a long time, from 2012 onwards. After that, Professor Mukherjee has taken. Before I introduce you to the two units, which in fact are one, because both of them are the part of the MS University of Baroda, I would like to share my experience when I was asked that, Adya, you come to the AICS center and see that why the students from our university are not able to qualify IAS exam. I would like to connect this question to my own profile, because I am BSc honors with mathematics, and I have taken history as a discipline to appear in the UPSC examinations. In 93, 94, I had gone up to the interviews. 95 was the year where I was given an opportunity to join Group B services, but I had chosen for academics. By that time, I was in DNU, so naturally my interest into academics has gone, and I had become more rational in understanding why such a process is taking long time. What are the strategies where you can be more successful in less span of time? And I think that that become a reason for me to be chosen for AICS Center. I was just remembering Jyoti Ben's that you should be doing something. And I realized that by being in Delhi, I was seeing that people are investing there 4 to 5 years. And this 4 to 5 years was not actually many a times bearing any positive result in clearing the examination. So I was thinking on strategies. This led me to think in terms of bringing the students soon after their 12th class into the preparing mode. So from where I can start? I was teaching as a teacher at a first year BA level, world history, Baroda, knowing our city. And I realized one thing, that students are keen to go for competitive examinations. Is this for Staff Selection Commission or for the examinations conducted by State Public Service Commissions or by the UPSC itself? So my homework started from my own department, history department, from my own faculty, that is Faculty of Arts, and this journey to AICS had actually been traversed by me. Now what I found that when I became the Dean Faculty of Arts, I think that it was revival for me. So as soon as Jayant reached out to me that Singh sir is available and would be talking or would be preferring to talk on this topic, I said that, okay, we will be going into historical and contemporary trajectories. Though the topic is trajectory, but I feel there are many trajectories, which in fact would be addressed by our keynote speaker, would be coming up in our discussion by Professor Dholakia also. So many perspectives would be coming. And Singh sir and Amit Dholakia sir, because both of you are our key speaker, and Sinha Saab is there, I would like to indulge into the academia of the civil services in terms of trajectories, not in terms of how it has evolved, but rather getting into the structuralist path as well as functionality, because these two things are very important. And here I am taking a little bit of time, because when the entrance examination at the AICS was happening, particularly during the interview, a question to the candidate who has cleared the selected written type of exam: why you are here? I am here to serve the country. Why you want to serve the country through being an IAS? Because it gives me power. Sir, I would be requesting you to bring a connect with these terms which are used by our youngsters, which is very important. Because when you had started taking the UPSC exam, or I have started taking an exam, or Shakti Sinha ji, or maybe if I talk about Aurobindo, because Aurobindo was the first student in the MS University of Baroda who had taken civil services exams conducted by the colonizers, leaving it, coming it for academics, and you can see that a movement between an academician and the civil service provider or managing the affairs in the country is happening. And it is all coming from the academic bank which exists within the folds of the universities, colleges, or maybe some other pattern of education, because UPSC is now an open-ended where entry from the different directions are allowed, and also what is expected that we should be catering in the best way we can do it for our nation. So, sir, this is how I connect the All India Central Service Training Center and the Faculty of Arts. Faculty of Art teaches around 30 disciplines, and these 30 disciplines are spread across faculties. If you look into the national education policy, and I am sure that even the civil service courses are going to change at all levels, even at the level of staff selection commission, because the students who get into staff selection services, nurtured services, basically they are helping the IAS officer. So basically there is a structure which is working in a team and contributing in the making of modern India, or if I use rightly, the new India. So with these words, I would like to take a pause over here and would be listening to our esteemed speakers, at the same time looking for some kind of interesting questions emerging during the discussion from the youth, from the students of the MS University who are present here. Thank you, Neha. Thank you, each and everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aja ma'am. Now, I would like to invite Neha Patil ma'am to introduce Professor Amit Dholakia sir, who may deliver on the topic redefining and reorganizing the role of civil services in the contemporary era. Neha ma'am, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Professor Dr. Amit Dholakia, who is currently the professor and head of Department of Political Science, the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, and also serves as the joint director at the Atal Bihari Vajpayee Institute of Policy Research and International Studies, the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda. Sir has also previously held positions like being the provost of GSFC University, being the registrar of our university as an officer on special duty. He has also been a Senate and syndicate member amongst other positions. Sir has a lot of publications to his credit and has been a part of various research projects. He has international fellowships and academic programs to his credit as well. Sir is a great orator and has participated in and presented papers in many national and regional seminars and conferences across India. He has also delivered talks of academic nature on social, political, educational themes at various social, literary, and educational institutes and organizations. He is a very approachable teacher and would never hesitate to answer the student questions at any hour. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Neha. It's indeed a great privilege to share this online platform with a distinguished and a very amiable senior civil servant like Dr. Jayant Singh. It's also an added pleasure that he happens to be the alumnus of our department and our university. And he is someone to whom we all look up to for very useful ideas and suggestions with respect to governance of universities as well as governance of Gujarat. So I, on behalf of the Atal Bihari Vajpayee Institute of Policy Research and International Studies, extend my warm welcome to Dr. Jayant Singh. It's also a pleasure to share this online platform with my esteemed senior colleague and and equally distinguished civil servant, Sri Shakti Sinha ji, as well as my friends, Dr. Adya, Professor Surjit Mukherjee, and other colleagues who are present. I want to make a special mention of the presence of Dr. Jyoti Pandya, Seth, the former mayor of Vadodara city, and a very active leader in the public domain, as well as Dr. Jigari Namdar in our midst. I don't want to take much time because I know that you are here to listen to Dr. J.N. Singh, and I really don't want to be a subject of online doing if there is some such online doing that is possible. I also don't want to preempt what Dr. J.N. Singh is going to say. So I will just raise some pertinent points, some pertinent issues which could put into perspective some of the major issues pertinent for understanding the role and the functions of civil services in India today. Of course, as Dr. Jyotiben said, India's democracy is a great success story. Indeed, very few people outside India had hopes that India would survive as a democracy due to enormous contradictions and diversities that we have in the economic, social, cultural domains. And everybody felt that this country cannot be governed through the democratic norms, democratic institutional structures. So happily, we have proved them wrong. We have proved all the Cassandras wrong. Not only have we survived as a democracy, in fact, our democracy has deepened, it has expanded. And today, we are at a juncture where we are among the foremost nations in the world in terms of the strength of democracy as well as in terms of projection of our status and our soft power at the global level. Yes, there are many factors responsible for this success. The political leadership, the civil society, other sectors of society, including the corporate sector. But the mainstay, the main pillar of India's success story has been our civil services. I mean, this is something doubtless. We may have a lot of dissatisfaction with the performance of civil services in India. We may have certain ideological prejudices with respect to the working of civil services in India. But nobody can deny that civil services in India have played a stellar role in scripting the success story of India as a nation state, India as a democracy, and India as a continuing story of growth and development. And there are miles to go. I mean, there is no denying this fact. And it's not a story that is limited to the contemporary era or the post-independence era only. As the speakers before me highlighted, the 1835 Macaulay Report brought into existence the modern British civil service on which our contemporary civil services are based. But even prior to that, the medieval times, there was this Mansabdari system, and even Kautilya talks about Amatyas. And Amatyas were essentially the bureaucrats, the civil servants of ancient India. So civil services in India go back to ancient times. The tradition of civil service as the backbone of state, that tradition goes back to ancient India, and it has got modified. It has reoriented itself depending upon the nature of the political system in place and depending upon the expectations that arose at different points of time. And we indeed modified our civil services immediately after independence. That the father of modern civil services is considered to be Weber. Most of us in social sciences are told that Weber is somebody who conceived the structure, the functions, the role of modern bureaucracy, and how modernity, capitalism, have been a concomitant with bureaucratization of society. He highlighted principles like hierarchy, rationality, division of labor, rule of law, specialization, and generalization. And of course, neutrality, civil service neutrality, as essential elements of a good bureaucracy or a civil service. We realized immediately after independence that the conventional Weberian model may not suit our requirements as a developing country. We were not just a status quo state, but we were a progressive state, a welfare state, and therefore the Weberian model of bureaucracy and civil services was suitably adapted to cater to the needs of development and welfare in the post-independence period. And today we are again at the cusp of a major change, a major transformation in the 21st century. It's a transformation that is driven both by internal changes, internal challenges, internal factors, as well as transformations that are brought about by transnational and global forces. Forces of technology, forces which are both weakening the state as well as which are strengthening the state in some ways. Today we are in a very contradictory situation whereby state is able to do more than what it was able to do, let us say 5 decades back. But at the same time, we find that today's state is powerless to do many things that it could do 5 decades back. And civil service has to today function in this contradictory scenario, which is both enabling as well as disempowering for its working. So it is now time, according to me, to redefine the vision and mission of civil services in India, retaining all that is good, all that is relevant, but at the same time doing away with such procedures, such rules, such orientations, which seem to be anachronistic, considering the 21st century scenario with respect to society, politics, and the larger global scenario that is emerging. So that is my first plea, that let us re-look at the parts of the vision and mission of civil services. I am not saying that let us completely redefine it or rewrite it, but parts of the vision and mission of the civil services today need to be re-looked and rewritten so as to make our robust civil service more effective, more transparent, more credible, and more in tune with times. Technology is one major challenge. Role of technology in governance will not, of course, replace the civil services, but it will definitely redefine the civil services. The facelessness, civil service was based on a kind of face-to-face engagement between the people and the administration. Now, a lot of functions are becoming faceless, and they are also becoming transparent and accountable through online means. How the role of civil services will have to be readapted. And when I say civil services, I do not only mean the higher civil service, not just the secretarial services, not just the secretary, but even field-based civil services. Just for the benefit and for the knowledge of my students here, let me tell you, when we say civil services, most of us think IAS. For us, civil services begins with IAS and ends with IAS. Civil service is a whole system. Civil service is not actually the correct word. We should use the word civil service system, which has so many sectors and segments. So when I'm saying civil services, I do not only mean Indian Administrative Service. I mean the entire civil service system. Second issue that I would like to highlight is the multi-level governance, which has become the norm of the day. Yes, civil services are the mainstay of our public administration, but today they are working in partnership with many other private, semi-private, civil service organizations, both for policy formulation as well as for policy implementation. So we have a partnership model of governance today rather than a civil service driven model of development and governance. And this partnership model of governance is going to further expand, involving not just the national actors, but also the international and global actors in future. So when I say multi-level governance, it is an integrated governance from local to regional to national to international. And a modern civil service has to take into account all these diverse factors, actors, and their imperatives when they draft policies or apply policies at the ground level. So service delivery in particular, the model of service delivery that we have evolved and that we followed during the last few decades is already changing. It has changed. We can see its implementation in variety of government programs and policies and schemes. But I just want to sensitize you to this fact that the model of service delivery in India has already changed, and it is likely to change further depending upon the technological changes and emergence of newer actors claiming their say and their stake in the process of governance and implementation. Thirdly, people's expectations from administration have increased. Today's citizen is no more the silent citizen who looked upon the government as Maibab, who was overawed by a civil servant or the collector. Today's citizen is an active citizen. He is a demanding citizen. He is an informed citizen armed with the right to information and many other democratic rights that he has been assigned through the legal and the constitutional system. And technology has made him more aware about what is going on. Therefore, the accountability and performance related expectations from civil services have increased manifold in today's era as compared to the earlier era. The expansion of media, new media, social media, citizen journalism makes it all the more challenging for modern civil servant to act without reference to rule of law, constitutional norms or democratic norms. And this is a positive change according to me, that we have today a more robust system of checks and balances prevalent with respect to the civil services than maybe it was earlier. Politics in India has also changed. Today, policies are driven more by political imperatives than necessarily by governance imperatives. And also politics in India has changed to a more leadership-centric politics than the conventional party-based politicization. Now, this puts its own challenges before the civil services. It also gives new opportunities to the civil services. So there is a greater professionalization of civil services. There is a greater corporatization of the decision making in the government, because of the growth of leadership politics. But at the same time, it has radically changed the way the conventional bureaucracy in India was functioning. Just to give an example, I mean, last week only I was talking to a retired chief secretary of Gujarat. I wouldn't, of course, name him. Now he said, and he retired long time, of course, and he told me that during my times, transfer was only the chief secretary's prerogatives, the bureaucratic transfer, the routine IAS transfers from here to there. But now he says that increasingly even this power of the civil servants, the senior civil servants, has been taken over by the political actors. They would decide who will work where. And he says that our role has changed. He didn't say that our role has diminished, but he says it has changed. So point is that new politics has given rise to new kind of role for civil servants in India. Good and bad is another issue. It's a matter of subjective analysis. I am not really entering into it. Institutional weaknesses have also surfaced. You see, what we call the institutional erosion. The credibility of institutions is being challenged because of the larger forces and processes which are at work. And that also makes many of the civil servants fearful of their own prospects, of their own survival within the system, if they don't really go along with the larger imperatives of the political system. Domain specialization is one thing that is highlighted again and again, that do we need to have lesser emphasis on generalization. But I am not saying that we should do away with generalist service altogether, but within generalist service, can we not go for a domain specialization? Because even IAS officers have their own educational backgrounds. They go abroad for various kinds of studies. So we may specify certain domain specializations for the IAS officers and then develop them as specialists within the generalist cadre, so as to answer this call of the specialists that our view, our concerns, our expertise is not being adequately utilized in the process of policy formulation. But need for domain specialization is one area, I think, that is demanding attention on the part of the reformers of civil services in India today. Yes, reservation policy has brought in some balancing in terms of the composition and the representational character of civil services in India. We do find candidates coming from very official backgrounds, people who are from vernacular medium schools and colleges, people who are really not belonging to the elite sections of society and they are part of the IAS today. And it's a welcome change from the highbrow elite character of the civil services immediately before and after independence. But nevertheless, we still need to travel a long road before we can say that civil services in India are truly representative of the social diversity of India and the social expectations of India. Also, we see a disproportionate number of candidates are from technology and engineering background, and that too from top-level engineering and technology institutions of India. We need to rethink it, as Professor Saxena also said, that why MS University has not produced a single IAS officer. Despite being a premier university in the state and in the country, MS University has not produced a single IAS officer during its entire history. Why? Why only some institutions produce more IAS officers than others? So we need to rethink this issue so that the profile of IAS in India improves, it changes to bring in the wide regional, social, cultural diversities, and then people find it more relatable, I mean, as far as their functioning is concerned. And of course, we have enough number of vigilance agencies and systems. I'm not saying that there is any dearth of it. We don't need to create a new vigilance system. But accountability and transparency, integrity of the civil services, that is one area which is indeed a matter of concern. How we strengthen the existing vigilance systems in the civil services. How we reduce the cases of misuse of power or violation of rule of law. This is something where I think thought process needs to be applied. The number of civil servants punished by law is disproportionate to the degree of some of the cases where we feel that violation of rules happened, violation of procedures happened, something wrong happened. So we still need to, I think, take care of it. And performance audit is something must. Most, Dr. Jain Singh is a better person who can speak about it, but almost all IAS officers get promoted to the higher levels, depending upon the length of their service. Now, can we not have a system whereby, non-performing IAS officers are kind of stopped somewhere? Just as it is the case in the corporates, you see a non-performing manager doesn't go beyond, let us say, deputy manager or some such cadre. Similarly, the non-performing assets within the civil services are stopped somewhere through a credible, transparent system of assessment. Anyway, so these are some of the stray ideas that I thought I will put before you, so that Dr. Jain Singh also has enough questions in advance which he can answer during this erudite lecture. And thank you once again for inviting me to this online webinar, and look forward to a stimulating lecture from Dr. Jain Singh. Namaskar.
Wonderful,
Thank you,
Professor
sir.
Kalache. Wonderful.
Thank you.
थैंक यू सर। अमित सर, आपके लेक्चर के दौरान कुछ प्रश्न आए हैं जिसमें से 2 मैं लेना चाहूंगी, उसके बाद आपको डॉक्टर जयंत सिंह जी के वक्तव्य के बाद और भी प्रश्न आएंगे।
मुझे लगता है कि ये बीच में प्रश्न नहीं लेते हैं, लास्ट में लेते हैं। डॉक्टर जयंत सिंह शायद वो प्रश्नों का उत्तर दे भी दे, हो सकता है, तो
ठीक है।
मुझे लगता है कि भी डॉक्टर जयंत सिंह को ही हम सुने।
जी सर, ठीक है, ठीक है।
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Amit sir, for such an informative session. And now I would like to invite Nidhi Soni to introduce Professor S. Mukherjee sir, who will give a brief talk on current activities and scenario of AICS Training Center. He may also introduce all of us about the keynote speaker, IAS Jain Singh sir. Nidhi, over to you. Nidhi Soni.
Thank you, Jayan. Now I would like to introduce Professor Surjit Mukherjee sir. He is director of all the Civil Service Training Center and he is head of Department of Physics Science Faculty at the Maharaja Sayaji Rao University of Baroda with specialization experimental nuclear physics, nuclear data. He has done MSc and PhD from Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. He has traveled in various countries in abroad for research work. He has written about 250 research publications, 15 research scholars have been produced, and also 10 major research projects with Government of Gujarat. He has written many research publications for both national and international publications. He has received the highest research award from Chinese Academy of Sciences. He has the PIFI visiting professor also. He has had most of his experiences from South Africa. He is also member of several research committees and several international journals. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Nidhi. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, respected Dr. Jain Singh Sahab, Professor Amit Bhai Dholakia, Professor Adya Madam Saxena, Dr. Jyoti Ben Pandya Seth, Dr. Jigar Bhai Inamdar, and all the participants. On behalf of the All India Central Services Training Center, I welcome you all in this exciting webinar by 2 of the eminent speakers. So let me very briefly talk about, although my predecessor, Dr. Adya Saxena Madam has told so many things. I am just following her in her footsteps. So the All India Central Services Training Center at the Maharaja Sayaji Rao University, Baroda, is established in the year 1979. Since its inception, it is contributing towards the nation building through imparting training and motivating the aspirants to clear the various competitive examinations. We not only focus on the IAS civil services examination, but also the state level services and allied services and other exams also. The center provides all the kind of help to the aspirants, which include the mock interviews, keeping in view the civil service examination in particular. Presently, the center is running 2 courses. One for those who have completed their graduation and wants to become a civil servant to serve the nation, and the other one is the higher payment course. Higher payment course for those who has cleared 12th exam. The main idea of the center is to train and guide the aspirants to lead them to their goal to succeed in their aspirations to become a civil servant with great vision, success, wisdom, and sense of duty towards the country. So, and rest of the thing, I always welcome you all to visit our center and see for yourself our activities. Now, coming to the introduction of our keynote speaker, Dr. Jayan Singh, although he doesn't need any introduction, he is a well-known, very well-known person, but still I have been given this duty to introduce him. So Dr. Jayan Singh, IAS officer retired, he completed his tenure as Chief Secretary of Gujarat State in November 2019. After more than 3 years in this position, he graduated from Jawaharlal Nehru University, Delhi, and PhD from MS University, Vadodara. He is also management graduate from Asian Institute of Management, Manila, Philippines. He has served largely in infrastructure and finance sector, also having handled industrial infrastructure, power, ports, telecom, highways, water, and state finances. During his period, he conducted vibrant Gujarat summits of 2017 and 19, and Gujarat witnessed rapid growth in the industrial sector and had highest FDI, a trend continuing even now. Dr. Singh has been guiding and steering several prestigious companies. He had been the chairman during 2016 to 2019 of several top companies like Gujarat Alkalis and Chemicals Limited, Gujarat State Fertilizer Corporation Limited, Gujarat Narmada Fertilizer Corporation Limited, and Gujarat Gas Limited. He also was the managing director of Gujarat State Petronet Limited during his period. During his chairmanship, Gujarat Gas has acknowledged as the top 5 wealth creators during 2019. In the port sector, he worked as chairman of Gujarat Maritime Board and also closely associated with the establishment of GSPC LNG terminal. During his stint as chief secretary, Dr. Singh was closely associated with setting up new and renewable power and also desalinization plants in Gujarat in a major way. Dr. Singh also has deep-rooted interest in the textile and clothing sector, having served as Textile Commissioner, Government of India, and as a Joint Secretary dealing with the industry and exports. Presently, he is serving on the board of several companies as an independent director. Overall, he has all-around experience in industry and finance, having served in state and center as also several major companies as chairman or MD. Now, without taking any much time, I would like to take over the center stage, sir. Over to you.
Thank you. I think I'm able to. Everybody can see and hear me.
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
My regards first and thanks to Jyoti Ben, Jigar Bhai, and the 3 professors who are there. Professor Saxena. I mean, I didn't know that you had a history background. That's why you selected the topic with historical trajectory also is part of that. Yeah. Professor Dholakia, with whom I have interacted in past also so many times, and Professor Mukherjee. And of course, Jayant and all the students over here and all the participants. Let me now go to share the screen mode. I think I would be, yes. Has this screen come?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. So my topic, I mean, in fact, I would love to say this preparation of this topic gave me once again back to my college days, back to my university days when I was, I mean, of course, reading quite a bit. In fact, I'm doing good amount of reading right now also, but this gave background both in history as also and history cross country as well as political science. So it has been very, very exciting for the last few days. And of course, my experience of so many other days. So the topic is civil services in India, historical and contemporary trajectory. My presentation format, basically the historical perspective, and I will deal with in the Indian sector, what are the Mauryans, the Mughals, the British, what lessons we derive from them, how the civil services during that particular time happened and what were the lessons. And similarly, in the global level, in China, in Persia, and the Islamic Caliphate, and what are the lessons from that. And once I come to the independent India, the present contemporary India, what is the trajectory post 1947? So I would look at the roles, many of the things Professor Dholakia said, that I would look at the role. What is the changing role of civil services pre and post 1947? How were the civil services vis-a-vis the political interface? What are the civil services performance? How do people consider the civil services post 1947 in India? What is civil services accountability? Civil services and federalism. I mean, there are so many controversies about that. Civil services and inclusiveness, and civil services and modernization. And finally, I'll come to the thing, is the civil services working? Whether it is actually working well or not well. In the historical perspective, when we talk of history, we generally talk of time and space. And here, when I mean space, I mean geographical areas. So we mean time. So we examine particularly how a seemingly particular event or institution in one area also existed, continued in other geographical areas and across various time periods. So we look at different geographies where the things occurred, and we look at the different time periods. So what basically entails? A historical perspective entails a cross-country civilization, cross-country, cross-civilization, and similarly cross-timeline, cross-period comparison. So in our present context, to better understand the current trajectory of the civil services in India, it's imperative to situate the civil services as it evolved in our country, India, also in comparison to civil services in other countries, in other civilizations over different time periods. This will give us a fuller and holistic understanding. So how, I mean, I would like to cut short the historical period, since the PowerPoint would be available, people can go through that. And of course, this is one of the basic thing, fundamental thing that public ad is also telling us. So when we talk of the historical perspective, we are basically taking three regimes. One is the Mauryan period, particularly Chandragupta Maurya and Ashok. The one is the Mughal period, and third is the British period. So Mauryan period, what are the historical evidences? Basically Kautilya Arthashastra, Ashoka's inscriptions, and the Buddhist Theravada sects. So Arthashastra, there, as has been mentioned earlier, Kautilya considered the state as a vital instrument for human advancement. I talk of Mahamatyas, talk of mantris, talk of civil services. Similarly, Ashok, what did he do? He introduced several administrative reforms. And there, as you look at it, it was not only a centralized state. The state was divided. He gave the provincial administration to various Kumars, the crown princes and the other rulers, the princes. It was further divided into ahars and further into janpads and ultimately into villages. Ashok had a group of trusted ministers who always helped him in the matters of administrative policy. So you see that there was provincial administration, there was a state at the center, there was an administration, and there were policies, there were very clear-cut policies. And listen, what is the time we are talking of? We are talking of before the Common Era. We are talking of around 200 BCE, quite a long period. Now coming to the Mughals, we are jumping almost We are jumping almost 1700 years. What is in the Mughal period? The Mughal administration was perhaps one of the most centralized administration ever in the history of India. And there was no council of ministers, at all. But the Mughal emperors did consult some departmental heads and some other higher officials on important matters. The empire had at the central level some departments. The highest one was Wazir, Chief Minister, followed by Bakshi, who was responsible for salaries and recruitment. Then there were other departments. There was tax collection. There was superintendent of forest, and similarly. And when we talk of the provinces, there were subadars, and further subas were divided into sarkars and further into parganas. But subadars was what? Subadar was the military rulers, military heads. But as you look at it, the Akbar administration and the others, the king did not depend only on the military ones. He had the diwan also, who was working along with the subadars. So there was the military head, there was the civilian head, and both of them reporting independently. And so there was some checks and balances. Let's look further. Let's look at the East India Company now, going another about 100, 200, 300 years beyond the Mughal rule. So the British colonial administration, I mean, actually, they did found a modern bureaucracy on legal rational principles in the country, what Professor Dholakia has talked of the Weberian model, not exactly in that format, but yes, something close to that, legal rational, model. It successfully separated the civilian administration from the military administration, unlike the Ashokan times, unlike the Mughal times. And the term civil servant was also used for the first time by the Britishers. The Regulating Act of 1773, it's a very milestone in the civil services history in the country. First landmark in the transformation of the East India Company commercial administration into a political government in the Indian subcontinent. So it was said that separate the two. The commercial thing is separate and the bureaucratic thing is separate. So Governor General in Council was made the supreme government, and so many other things was done. Let us look at what actually happened further. I mean, once after the 1857 revolution, what happened after that? The Government of India Act of 1858, it took over the control of government from the company to the crown. And accordingly, a Secretary of State in UK was formed. There were two prominent features. Indians were slowly associated with the administration, and administrative developments, large number of administrative developments took place. Unlike the personality-based Mughal administration, the British introduced a contractual and rule-bound formal bureaucracy. Many things happened during that particular time, greater specialization, greater sort of power to the provinces and all. And so what is the legacy? What are the rules and rules and regulations that we had from the British period that we are carrying? One of the very important, I'm just mentioning some of the important ones. The Charter Act of 1853, it threw open the selection and recruitment of civil servants to the Indians. This was the 1853, because of which we had Satyendra Tagore, we had Aurobindo Ghosh and others who came along in that. Then Macaulay in 1854, what he did, he said that admission to the test for 18 to 23, have it high standard and ensure that the selection of candidates is done only through knowledge, thorough knowledge. The Indian Civil Services Act 1861, it provided for the Indianization of services. Indianization of services is a very, very important thing. Then 1886 Public Service Commission, 3-tier classification, imperial administration at the top, provincial administration for the states, and then subordinate state civil services below the state level functionary. Then it came Montfort report of 1918, slowly have 33% of the post from the Indians, and then continue to increase it 1.5% every year. Lee Commission of 1923, appointment of ICS, IPS, and etc. So slowly, have this type of services. So 20% of the, another important thing, 20% superior post should be filled by promotion from the provincial civil services. What do we learn? When I have given you some background of the historical thing, of the Mauryan period, of the Mughal period, of the British period. So we see as the states expanded territorially, the states became empire, the requirement of bureaucracy, civil services becomes very imperative. All the three. Mauryas, why did they think of civil services? Because they were big. It was not possible to govern from one end. The purpose of a state is varying from different periods. The purpose of a state in the Mauryan period was welfare, which tended to sort of coercion in the Mughals, and finally to extraction and plundering. I am using the words very, very carefully. The purpose of the British rule was extraction. Plundering is within quotes, but certainly extraction. and the civil services of that particular period during the 3 periods functioned accordingly. Again, another feature, all the 3, separation of central civil services from the provincial administration. Because the empire became big, you cannot rule it from one place. You have to have provinces. And again, to control the provinces, the requirement was of subadars, oblique governors. Under the Mughals, and also perhaps under the Mauryas, the subadars were the military leaders. But under the British, slowly the civilian and the military leadership was separated, which you are seeing right now also. However, even under the Mughals, the provincial Diwan reported directly to the Wazir and hence kept some check over the Subadar. So no ruler allowed the Subadars to become very important. Recruitment to bureaucracy was not merit-based. One very important thing. Recruitment to bureaucracy during all these periods, it was not a merit-based thing. It was an open system till 1853, unlike the open examination system in China, which were there since 206 before the Common Era. So regarding other periods of history, I have selected only the 3 periods of Indian history because either there is not much evidence of the civil services, or the dynasties existed for a shorter duration or in a shorter area to formalize the civil services. Now, I'll do some cross-country comparisons also. What is happening in China? In China, the Qin dynasty, look at the figures. China, the Qin dynasty, during the earlier times, from the 221, before the Common Era, established the first centralized Chinese bureaucratic empire, bureaucratic rule, and thus created the need for an administrative system to staff it. Recruitment was based on the recommendation by local officials, but under the Han emperors, an imperial university was started. This was again 200 BC. Under the Han emperors, imperial university was done, and officials were tested in the techniques of Confucian government. Slowly, the Tang dynasty, the Song dynasty, the Ming dynasty, all of them, China, it was very clear that there was only civil, the bureaucracy was selected by very clear-cut, the open examination merit-based system. So there was no hanky-panky there. And of course, it was something that still China continued till almost 1912. And this was adopted to a very large extent by Japan and Korea also. In Persia, around 6,000 years ago, the Persian bureaucracy, also had something like that. The public administration first developed in the city-state of Susa. There again, under the Achaemenids, Parthians, Sassanids, from 6000 BC to almost 651 BC, there was a very systematic form of government. At the top of the pyramid was Great King. Then bureaucracy was divided into various, several departments with a huge number of patronage and career appointees, but nothing like Chinese. No direct recruitment system and no exam systems. Coming to the Islamic caliphates, Prophet Muhammad, as we all know, passed away in Common Era 632. After that, the Islamic state grew very rapidly. In 100 years, practically the entire, not only, the entire area from South Spain to almost Sindh, almost up to Sindh area, that area was taken under the Rashidun Caliphs and then under the Umayyads. And it reached its apogee under the Abbasid dynasty. But when the Islamic empire extended this much, you could not deal without a structured bureaucracy and without the consolidation of bureaucratic circles. The office of the head of bureaucracy under the Caliph was Wazir, whose authority rested on being an efficient and competent administrator. Now, what does he do? He also includes now non-Arabs were inducted in bureaucracy as the empire extended massively in the non-Arab areas. So there were also significant decentralization, which however also led to weakening of the Caliph. So all these areas, what we are saying, that as the states increase, there is bureaucracy. So what are we learning from the global examples? So as the state system becomes more complex, both in terms of territory and function, there is an overpowering need for structured civil services, we can see that this trend in all empires, whether in India or anywhere in the globe. There is always a fine balance of power between central and provincial bureaucracy, and the decline of empires was often caused by the consolidation of power by the provincial satraps. It happened with Abbasid caliphs and several times in Chinese history, as also with the Mauryan and Mughal. See, it's very interesting. You cannot do without provincial bureaucracy, but you could not afford to make them very strong. We saw it during the Indira Gandhi time also. You could not deal without strong chief ministers, but you could not afford to make them very strong. I mean, both the things go parallel. It's only in China that we had merit-based open systems since the 2nd century in the BC. Though this system got more specialized, the syllabus, I mean, I'm seeing somebody just drawing some lines. Maybe that can, to some extent, be sorted out. Huh? The syllabus, though the system in China got more specialized, still from the beginning to the almost till 20th century, the test was done on the basis of the Confucian knowledge. But 2 or 3 systems of Chinese which we are having even today, and many of you may be aware of that. See, officers were transferred every 3 years, which we are having in Gujarat and which we are having in all over India. No posting in their own provinces. Center to depute officers in the provinces. A strict impartiality in exams, as you can see in the UPSC and even GPSC exams. Officials not to engage in business or have dealings with their blood relatives. Very big no-no. Huh? We have these in India right now. The Chinese model was later adopted in Korea and Japan too. As the civil services grew in size, they had to become more inclusive and had to co-opt the populace. See, this is another feature which we had in, I mean, when we look at the global examples, we are looking at it, that when the civil services grew in size, they had to become more inclusive and they had to co-opt the populace. We saw it in Mughals when they had to co-opt the Hindus, and we saw it in British period, we saw it in China, we saw it in Abbasid Caliphate. Governance is not possible if the civil services do not reflect the heterogeneity of the population. One final lesson, many of these bureaucracies in due course became so fossilized and so complex that it contributed to the decline of empires. See, bureaucracy is good, but the bureaucracy also should not become so fossilized, so rule-bound that nothing is possible. So, I mean, a question which comes, which we'll like to discuss it finally, is bureaucracy averse to new thinking? Does bureaucracy mean that it has to become fossilized? Okay. Now we come to the independent India. In the Constituent Assembly, there were substantial discussions on the future and the role of All India services. I'm giving a quote from Anand Shayanam Iyengar, who later became governor of Bihar. He had this to say about the constitutional guarantees. What did he say? He said, I quote him, "This guarantee means that they were the rulers under the old regime and that they will continue to do so in the new regime. This guarantee asks us to forget that these persons were all still in services." He talks of the Indian civil services. 400 of them committed excesses thinking this was not their country. So Anand Shayanam Iyengar doubted the patriotism of the Indian civil service, and he felt, why should we continue with them? Even Prime Minister Nehru at that time was not in favor of retaining the Indian civil services in that particular format. But Sardar Patel was unmoved. What did he say? We have a small number. We have only a small number of civil servants left after 1947. Outsiders cannot appreciate their work. Many of them loyal workers and patriots are working with us night and day. All we have been able to achieve, whether it be in the spheres of state or in Kashmir or in any other theater, have been possible only because of their loyalty and wholehearted support. He said this on October 15th, 1949, when he saw them working during the division, during the partition riots, when he saw them involved in the integration of states. I would like to quote Sardar Patel further. Sardar Patel, for the simple reason that he gave the bureaucracy in the present format what we have. Sardar Patel said, I tell you, do not quarrel with the instruments with which you have to work. If you have done with it and decide not to have them at all, even in spite of my pledged word, I will take the services with me and go. I mean, in a way, he literally threatened that if you do not want this present system to continue, he may as well like to go. Then in 1948, I mean, these are very oft quoted statements, an all India service, efficient, disciplined, and contented, assured of its prospects as a result of diligent and honest work, is a sine qua non of sound administration under democratic regime, even more than under an authoritarian rule. The service must be above party, and we should ensure that political consideration, either in its discipline or in its control, are reduced to the minimum, if not eliminated altogether. Great words, huh? It's to Sardar credits that special safeguards to those in the services were inserted. Article 312, Part 2, in Part 14 gives it, giving birth to the modern Indian Administrative Service and Indian Police Service. Later in 1966, Indian Forest Service were also added to the All India services. Several other services, including Revenue Service, Audit Account Services, were also called the Central Services. And along with the All India services, their recruitment was also done by the UPSC. But as Professor Dholakia mentioned, when we talk of civil services, we do not talk only of these services. We also talk of the state services. We also talk of the entire civil administration. Now, trajectory of the civil services post 1947. I'll discussing according to the changing role of civil services and political interface, civil services and development, civil services and accountability, civil services and federalism, civil services and modernization ICT. And finally, I'll end with a brief discussion on the future of civil services. Changing role. The colonial administration was basically extractive. It was meant to extract India's wealth to take it to US, to take it to Great Britain. I mean, just see how big is Great Britain now, and certainly not the richest country. That there was a time when they used to say that sun does not set, when it was richest of the rich. And even now, when I go to London, when I see the big building, the huge streets and all, I feel that yes, good part of it was contributed by us Indians. So the colonial administration was basically extractive, designed to meet the needs of colonial administration. The main functions: collection of revenue and maintenance of law and order. Why to maintain law and order? So that revenue is collected, and not only revenue directly, so that their business is done, so that they can exploit the people over here. So maintain law and order. I mean, welfare and everything else, what the Britishers said, was just a side effect. It was not, certainly not the main thing. So although the colonial administration was known for efficiency, many people still say that, oh, British administration was good. No, it was not. Though known for efficiency, loyalty, impartiality, and high ethical standards, in reality, it was basically extractive. This should never be forgotten. Now, what is the new role of civil services? See, if you look at the 7th things I have given, only the last two, 6th and 7th, revenue generation and governance, are that of the earlier times. Economic development, the government is now, the civil services, they are now the facilitator of economic growth, agriculture sector, industry sector, services sector. Human development, they are the promoter of human development, entire gamut of HDI. Welfare, directly undertaking services for the socially backward and the needy. In the local and urban bodies, decentralization and strengthening of local government. Infrastructure, economic and social infrastructure building. These are the new roles of the government. Post 1990s. Post 1990s, when the economy was liberalized, and we call it the LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization. It has further increased the gamut of government, and in a way, it has set up a new agenda with the gradual shedding of many commercial activities by the government. The state, which was formerly an interventionist, producer, regulator, and seller, is now called upon to be a facilitator, promoter, and partner. And the emergence of powerful technological tools and increasing expectation from government to perform are the realities of current day government. The process of governance bundled together into the political, social, and economic aspect is, and including formal and informal actors, is happening in the decision making. So under the present government, the present Modi government, the expectations are sky high. Is the civil services capable of delivering? We'll see that. Let's look at the civil services and the political interface. Very interesting topic. What is the theoretical position? What the political, the public ad courses teach us? Formal position. Formal position is that the elected official, that is the minister, lays down the policy formulation, and the duty of civil servant secretary is policy execution to implement the same with all earnestness. The permanent civil services furnishes to the administration the indispensable element of continuity and expert knowledge. Hence, his or her advice will be informed and objective, and the final decision of the minister and the government is made after giving full consideration to such objective criticism. Reality different. Both civil servant and ministers are involved in formulation and implementation. In fact, ministers many times are more involved and more interested in implementation rather than in formulation. Let's see from the minister's viewpoint. What does he say? Well, I heard from many. I'm taking the criticism. I'm talking about the minister. Minister says, I'm taking the criticism. I have to contest the next election. And what will you do? You will continue and retain your job. So from the viewpoint of minister, he cannot shirk from helping his constituents. I'm putting the helping within quotes. Not all the time the helping is bona fide. Even when the civil servants will point out the rules, often finding out why it cannot be done. And let me also put it, many times the civil servants also are road blockers. Huh? So it's not that this one is good or this one is bad. There are shades of gray in both sides. Invariably, this leads to friction. Hence, very often the search for pliable, which is called pragmatic bureaucrats. See, the closer one is to public interaction, the greater are the chances of friction between elected representative and the civil servant. I've talked of the conflict between elected representative and the civil servant. So at the government of India level, when there is less public interaction, the joint secretary or even secretary feels much less pressure than what the civil servant feels at the state level. Government of India level, I've worked at both the places. Government of India level, you are relatively under less pressure. And what happens at the district level? Greater pressure. If you serve as a collector, if you serve as a district development officer, as in Gujarat, greater pressure. So the more the interaction with people, the greater the pressure. An interesting sidelight here, that a good civil servant, I'm talking about good civil servant, prefers a strong prime minister, a strong chief minister to a weak one. As the strong person is more concerned about the image of government, he is more involved in rational decision making and for the benefit of people, real benefit of people, and implementing broad policies. The civil servant has less to worry. A corollary of the above is that when there is a coalition government or when the government is a very thin majority, these are the most difficult times for the civil servants. Similarly, if there are two antagonistic political parties in alternating powers in the state, in UP, there was a time when once BSP was there and next time SP was used to be there. In Bihar, Lalu and then Nitish, they used to come alternate. So many other, it's a very perilous time because bureaucrats, the civil servants at times get associated with a particular regime and then it works with a very, very strong disadvantage. So these are the things, political interface one has to keep in mind. Let me come to a very, very challenging topic, civil service performance. How do we look at the performance of the civil service? See, most of the assessment, I read at many assessment by, I should say, by political scientists, public administration experts. Most of the assessment about the civil servants in a developing society, in a third party country, I mean, in the third world country or the developing country, so to say, like India, they have been either negative or at best lukewarm. I mean, I'm just quoting an example from what Bangladesh said. Bangladesh scholar, I'm taking examples from various other countries also. He said that civil servants have what is called polynormativism and high formalism in terms of administrative value. Now, what does this mean? This entails the coexistence of modern and traditional norms in developing countries. It's evident from the exposed gap between what the bureaucrats preach and what they actually practice. In their speeches, opinions, and on paper, the civil servants strongly advocate for democracy, equity, accountability, and the administrative responses. And what do? In practice, they exhibit a high affinity for power, money, centralized authority, unequivocal loyalty, and submissiveness. Similarly, what does high formalism do? It refers to inconsistent application of rules and regulations. Now, this is what is the perception of the civil servants in most of the developing countries. And the Indian scholars also look at it like this. Yet, and I'm happy that Professor Dholakia was kind enough to give good remarks. So, and yet we see, I mean, how do we assess since 1947? India has progressed continuously since independence. The democratic political institutions of our country have held ground despite several challenges and the failure of democracy in most of the post-colonial states in Asia and Africa. Asia, look at our neighbors, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, many of the times dictatorships, military rule. In Africa, most of the countries, post-colonial countries, I mean, going over to dictatorship, most of the Latin American countries, military rules, whereas India, democracy has continued. India has consolidated our strength and growth, and post-97 our growth rate has been the envy of others. As a country, we have remained one and unified. We have maintained our integrity for the last 70 years plus, and we expect to maintain our integrity continuously. The civil services surely deserve some credit at least. I would refer, I mean, if there are students of political science, public administration, refer to this particular book, which was, I found it highly, I mean, intellectually stimulating and highly nuanced, by Akhil Gupta, Red Tape, Bureaucracy and Structural Violence and Poverty in India. He asked, why has a state, since 1947, what are we telling as a country? Why has a state whose proclaimed motive is to foster development failed to help the large number of people who still live in dire poverty? Of course, as a past civil servant, I can reply that the incidence of poverty has decreased substantially. I mean, a global multidimensional poverty index has pointed out that from 2015 to 2015-16, from 54.7% multidimensional poverty index, it has come down to 27.9. And by 2020, it must have come down even further. So there has been substantial improvement. But still a good number of people are living in poverty. Akhil Gupta attends to this contradiction through the ethnography of bureaucratic action, showing that no matter how noble our intentions, no matter how sincere the officials in charge of them, the overt goal of helping the poor is subverted by the very procedures of bureaucracy. He says that the structural violence, I mean, nobody wants to do this violence. It's not a very overt violence, but the violence is in the structure of the bureaucracy itself, is enacted through the everyday practice of bureaucracies. One therefore needs to look closely at those everyday practices in order why violence coexists with care and why paradoxically it is often found in the practice of welfare. Corruption, inscription. By inscription, it means the rules and procedures of the government, and governmentality. I mean, what are the systems in the government at the local level explain largely how structural violence is perpetrated. The book does not preclude the role of policy at the higher levels, adding to suboptimum results. I mean, I would certainly advise, all the professors, the professors and the students to just go through this book, very highly stimulating book. Now, let me discuss about civil services and accountability. I'm starting with a very interesting quotation. The perfect bureaucrat everywhere is the man who manages to make no decisions and escape all responsibility. Once again, the perfect bureaucrat everywhere is the man who manages to make no decisions and escape all responsibility. It's not a laughing matter. Huh? Some civil servants actually practice it. Not all, but some do that. And it's not that they are not progressing, they are not getting promoted. There has to be some system by which they have to be checked. The accountability of civil servants, both to ministers and to parliament and assembly, are constitutional and politically significant. The civil servant has to reply to questions in the legislature and to the various committees and subcommittees, and he cannot afford to be lax in that. It's a terrible situation if he's lax. The personal accountability of the civil servants and the responsibility towards the society are equally substantial and interconnected. The Right to Information Act of 2005 was a major milestone in the accountability. All three organs of the government were bring about transparency and accountability. Highly successful act. I looked at the figures. In 2019-20, almost 1.6 million requests were made, of which only 4% were rejected. The RTI regime has kept the civil services on alert, as now any decision action is subject to scrutiny. In fact, what we say that the moment I write something on the file, I take a decision on the file, that minute itself everybody knows what is written, not only through RTI, but by somebody will take a photocopy. Earlier there used to be photocopiers. Now the mobile camera itself is good enough. So you cannot hide from what what you have written. Everybody knows what you are doing. Unfortunately, the RTI Act itself has become a victim to its own success, and the RTI Amendment Act of 2019 has taken some sheen out of it. Still, it's quite a powerful act. Civil services and federalism. The IAS is an all India bureaucratic hierarchy, in the sense that its members are chosen by a central process and trained together in a national academy. They are then assigned to particular states and technically become members of the state level bureaucracy as well. They are part by center, part by state. So there is a dual structure of allegiance to the center and to the home state. So overall, there is always a balance and a tug of war between both the things. This dual control of the IAS and of the civil services, higher civil services, was never an issue till 1967, when a single party ruled at both the center and the states. But it has assumed a major problem in the recent times. You might have read about how the civil services in the Delhi state, Kejriwal, the Chief Minister of Delhi, Mr. Kejriwal, continuously writes that the civil servants are not under his control, and the Lieutenant Governor and the center is having a dual control over them. Recently, we had a very celebrated incident when the Chief Secretary of Bengal, who did not or could not attend the meeting called by Prime Minister because the Chief Minister was not able to do that, and then he was issued a show cause notice. So this person, the then Chief Secretary, has been served a show cause notice and was in a dilemma what to do because of the dual control. When we look at the state level, there is a dual control, which affects bureaucracy under the Panchayati Raj. I was in Panchmal district as a district development officer in the very early periods. So there is a particular, I am reporting to the Jilla Panchayat president, and there is a chief minister, there is a Panchayat minister. So, both of them, both the levels would like their loyalty to them only. So there is, till the time the Congress party was at both the places, there is not that much a problem. It's perhaps personal level problem. But if one is ruled by another party and one by another party, supposing Jilla Panchayat is ruled by Congress and the state level is ruled by BJP, then there is a problem. Then there is, of course, a problem. So what is the problem between center and state? The same dual control can lead to, the state level problems also, state and district. So all in all, at the same time, let us admit that bureaucracies, the all India services are also an integrating factor in the governance of country. Just like what the economic integration, the pan-Indian economic integration has done, the pan-Indian markets, the common currency, the common legal and political system, and much more than all of them at the cultural level, cricket and Bollywood. These are perhaps the most important integrating factor for the country. So all of that, along with the All India services, have contributed to, while India is a federal state, it's a united state, country. I'll also talk of inclusiveness in bureaucracy. See, when I dealt with the bureaucracies of other countries, when I dealt with the bureaucracy of India also in the past, one lesson, what was one lesson? That governance is not possible without co-opting those being governed. The British colonial administration grudgingly did it in the Indian Civil Service Act 1861, which provided for Indianization of services. The Montfort Report 18 went further and did, added more, how many more Indians can be taken. The Mughals did by co-opting the Indians. Even the Hindus, they co-opted in the, at that level, at the central level, in their administrative and military setup. The Chinese empires at various times included the non-Han Chinese, Manchurians, Mongols, and even Sogdians, Uyghurs, Muslims. Socially, in the Chinese system, anyone could compete for the open merit-based system, civil services. Even the relatively insulated Arab caliphs had to co-opt the non-Arabs, Persian and Turks in the ruling setup. So one thing is very clear from the study of the past, that governance is not possible without co-opting those who are being governed. What did the Indian Constitution do post 1947? We provided for the reservation of the scheduled caste and tribes, a policy which has been continued after the initial period. There has been further extension of inclusiveness by providing for OBCs in the services at the center of the states. In many states, including in Gujarat, reservation for women has also been attempted, and very, very successfully. Further, to remove elitism from the service, vernacular language have been allowed, not only for the written exam, but also in the interviews. All for the betterment, all for, all sections of society are getting included, getting mobilized. The potential of the services is, potential of the society is increasing. Good thing, good thing. Despite, some people may feel that, why are you trying to include people so-called, merit, so-called merit. But when you look all around, you cannot rule the country without including everybody. Now, let me talk about the ICT modernizations. With the onset of globalization and digital revolution, India has joined the global movement, and what can be better than having an e-government? I'll talk about some of the recent successes. We have created an all India database through Aadhaar, and it has been linked with various platforms, PAN cards, CoWIN. In the recent, all of you must have got vaccinated. So this CoWIN platform has allowed you, USA does not have a digital CoWIN type of certificates, what we are having, digital certificate for vaccination, what India is having. We are having the bank account getting linked. You can, transfer any amount of money through the bank digitally. Ration cards, passports, driving license, all of it linked with Aadhaar, and all of it digitally available. On the tax reform side, the slow but eventually successful rollover of GST, income tax, linking it up with PAN, Aadhaar, and utilizing it for data mining and use of artificial intelligence to enhance revenue. Very successful role, very successful development which are seeing in the country. E-governance. In the social sector, linking of bank account and Aadhaar with social security databases. Immediate, instantaneous transfer of old age pensions. A scholarship for students. Some of you may be getting scholarships at various levels. Earlier, the money from the state level, it used to be transferred to district. From the district, it used to go to the universities, and from the universities to the students. Very long process, and many times used to take months and months and months. Now, with one click, the money is immediately transferred very successfully. Lakhs of students, their money is getting transferred to their accounts immediately, instantaneously. Why only instantaneous? Workers at the relief sites, Narega sites, all of them are getting money to their bank. Grants to the agriculturist. I mean, millions of agriculturists in Gujarat, we have given them money, we have transferred them money during floods, droughts, without any intermediation by any extraneous agencies. I'll just tell you an aside. This has deprived local and state level politicians of the grand opportunity of patronage. In fact, a senior person told me, well, I mean, you are immediately transferred so much money, hundreds and thousands of crores. And the government has not been able to take, advantage of that, advantage in the sense of credit of that, sir. But this has gone to the people who deserved it. Of course, it has done well. But what about the credit? So from the next time, we issued a press note that so and so, and we allowed that particular minister to his photograph, switching off the button, that with this button, see, lakhs of students are now getting immediate amount of money to the banks through this press of the button. Hundreds of thousands of workers at the Narega side, hundreds of thousands of agriculturists are now getting money. So in a way, bureaucracy also not only has to do the work has also to be shown to have been worked. Now, what is the way forward? How do we go further in e-governance? Increased use of artificial intelligence in government setup and further digitization of government. All of you might have been seeing many things, but further procedures at your university level, at the state level, at the central level, including workforce optimization has to be there. We have come a particular level, but we have many and many miles yet to go. I have given two photographs. I'll ask you later, which one reflects the present scenario? On the left, you have got a lady sitting over there, which files all on her round. And on the right, you have got a modern office where people working and the replies and many of the systems are being given through internet, through the e-governance system is happening. Maybe you may say both are happening. Maybe at some places this is happening, some places this is happening, but this is an interesting photo I got. What is the emphasis of incentive structure? Government, being government, cannot increase salary and monetary incentive, but we are trying to award the deserving students. We are trying to recognize their efforts. In Gujarat, for example, best collectors and best district development officers are annually recognized and awarded. At the Government of India level, Prime Minister's Award for Excellence in Public Services presented on the Civil Services Day. On the stick side, something which has been talked, non-performing civil servants, even in IAS and in IPS, can be and have been compulsory retired at 50 and 55 after review. Yes, mind it. Even the elite civil services have been compulsorily retired at 50 and 55 because of non-performance. Maybe this has to be slightly more brutal. Now, coming to the final thing now. Is the civil services working? I have said that performance, we have done this, we have done e-governance this. But mind you, what Akhil Gupta said, mind you, what most of the public ad professors say, or specialists say. Even the Prime Minister said recently, in a speech in Parliament, our Prime Minister, Honorable Modi ji said this, सब कुछ बाबू ही करेंगे, IAS बन गए, मतलब वो फर्टिलाइजर का कारखाना भी चलाएगा. Yes, in Baroda you have this GSFC run by an IAS. Chemical का कारखाना भी चलाएगा. Yes, in Gujarat you have GNFC being run by an IAS. IAS हो गया तो वो हवाई जहाज भी चलाएगा. Interestingly, present the Air India is run by an IAS. ये कौन सी बड़ी ताकत बनाकर रख दिया हमने? बाबुओं के हाथ में देश दे करके हम क्या करने वाले हैं? हमारे बाबू भी तो देश के हैं, तो देश का नौजवान भी तो देश का है. This speech of Honorable Prime Minister has certainly evoked apprehension and introspection among the civil service ranks. Let me read it once again. सब कुछ बाबू ही करेंगे. IAS बन गया मतलब वो फर्टिलाइजर का कारखाना भी चलाएगा, केमिकल का कारखाना भी चलाएगा. IAS हो गया तो वो हवाई जहाज भी चलाएगा। ये कौन सी बड़ी ताकत बनाकर रख दी हमने। बाबुओं के हाथ में देश दे करके हम क्या करने वाले हैं। हमारे बाबू भी तो देश के हैं, तो देश का नौजवान भी तो देश का है। Now, considering that our PM has been extremely successful in working with the civil services, he did a tremendous amount of work in Gujarat and he has done a tremendous amount of work in Delhi. The above remarks were certainly scathing. Why a public expression of anguish and dissatisfaction? This perhaps reflects that the aspirations and expectation of political leadership is not being met by the civil services. The above remarks of Honorable PM certainly invites tremendous introspection among the civil servants. What does future hold for the civil services so that we can meet the aspiration and hopes of multitude of our citizens, as also adjust to the challenges of the new age? What should we do? Well, it surely calls for greater specialization for one, within or outside the rank of the existing civil services. It is in this context that we can understand the lateral entry issue. This lateral entry issue has been criticized by those who are in the service, by the IAS, IPS and others. It's something like somebody who is, you might have, many of you might have gone in the railway, train. Till the time one is outside the train, one would like to get in. But once you get in the train, you do not want others to get in because they will impinge on your seats. They would like to share the seat with you. Something similar is there with IAS and other civil services. Till the time you are outside, you would like to get in. But once you get in, you would not like anybody from the lateral entry to get in. It is in this context, we have to allow that. Well, talking of the generalists may still survive, but they will be reduced to the role of family physicians, while the specialists will be something like neuro or cardiac surgeons. Now, what would the new generation of doctors would like to be? Would they like to be mere family physicians, or would they like to be specialists? Those civil servants who cannot adjust to the newer realities may not survive, and history will not treat them kindly. At the same time, with much improved intake in the civil services and with proper nurturing, civil services would surely flourish again. It is, after all, known for its resilience. Now, let me discuss it further. Can we have the spoils system of the US civil services, where several top ranks are manned by the appointees of the president? Or the Chinese system, where the CCP, that is the Communist Party of China, runs the government and the civil services? And I quote, most government officials are party members, and most leading officials at all levels assume leading positions in compatible CCP branches. Can we do that? Perhaps not. Perhaps not. In parliamentary democratic system, which we by and large adopted from the British, where prime minister is elected by the parliament, a spoils system may not work. Unlike in US, which has a fixed 4-year term. Here, supposing like in the like in the Deogada time, like in Chandrasekhar time, where the prime minister were for a very short period and could be removed by the parliament, how do they select the bureaucracy? So if it is a fixed tenure for prime minister, then perhaps the system may work. But in our system, we do not have fixed tenure. The prime minister reflects the wishes of the parliament, which can, under the present setup, it won't change, but it can change. Similarly, the Chinese system will not work in our multi-party democracy. So long as we are having multi-party democracy, we cannot have the Chinese system of people manning both the party as well as the government. So what do? We'll have to bring further specialization with or without lateral entry, sharpen the characteristic policy, weed out those who are involved in corrupt activities, weed out those who are the non-performing assets. We have to do continuously capacity building, continuously improve the system, and continuously improve and infuse the ICT and the artificial intelligence tools regularly. This is not a one-time basis, but adoption of the Japanese Kaizen philosophy of continuous improvement. Well, this is a continuous challenge. Continuously you have to improve. Then only can the civil services meet the aspirations of our citizens. Then only we can say that yes, we have a civil servants, we have the civil services which can work to the maximum and which can work to the benefit of people, to what our country aspired and to what our freedom fighters aspired. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful speech. And thank you for giving such an excellent outline to entire scenario of civil services in India. And I am sure it is going to be very useful to all in various ways, especially to the youth. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Anita Shukla ma'am and Neha Patil ma'am, who may conduct the question answer round. Anita ma'am.
Or if there are some,
Yeah.
questions which have come just to chat, me and Professor Dholakia and Professor Adya can, of course, try to answer.
Sir, this question is from Pinku Jha, who asked, the concept of power in bureaucracy is understood. Somehow the Western notion of individual-centric one, even after knowing in bureaucracy, should have essence of people-centric approach, more specifically social dimension. Nowadays, aspirants somehow miss this thing. So what possibilities are with us to make them aware?
See, earlier the bureaucracy used to be anonymous. Now we are having more and more bureaucrats try to hog limelight through the modern means of modern channels of communication, through internet, through Instagram, through Twitter. They are trying to highlight what they have done. Nothing wrong in that, but so long as it does not so long as the anonymity of service does not go. So all that has to be there, and the bureaucrats have to see to it that the earlier power which used to have during the time of British, once we do not try to live back that. We have to be more people oriented. This is what the need of time. So the earlier power has to go back, and we have to work more and more for the people.
थैंक यू सर। यहाँ जब तक आपका लेक्चर चल रहा था, विद्यार्थियों के बहुत सारे प्रश्न आ रहे थे, और यहाँ मैं बताना चाहूंगी कि इस वेबिनार के लिए सबसे ज्यादा फैकल्टी ऑफ आर्ट्स के 32.7% विद्यार्थियों ने रजिस्टर किया है, जिसे मैं इस रूप में देख रही हूँ कि वो एस्पिरेंट हैं सिविल सर्विसेज के, और वो लगातार ये कह रहे हैं हेल्पफुल वेबिनार, वेरी इंफॉर्मेटिव, वंडरफुल वेबिनार, और साथ साथ उनके बहुत सारे ऐसे प्रश्न आ रहे थे जिनका उत्तर क्रमशः जैसे जैसे आपका लेक्चर आगे बढ़ता गया उनको शायद मिलता गया, लेकिन फिर भी उनके मन में कुछ है कि ये तैयारी कैसे करें, कब शुरू करें, वे कौन कौन से सोर्सेस हैं जो तैयारी में मदद करेंगे, और क्या सिविल सर्वेंट्स पर पॉलिटिकल प्रेशर डिसीजन मेकिंग, हालांकि आपने बहुत कुछ बात की, पॉलिटिकल प्रेशर डिसीजन मेकिंग में होता है। तो ये कुछ बच्चों के प्रश्न हैं सर, अगर आप कुछ अपनी टिप्पणी, विशेष टिप्पणी देना चाहें तो।
सर मैं भी कुछ जोड़ना चाहती हूँ। कुछ बच्चे हैं जो 2-2.5 साल से तैयारी कर रहे हैं, मेरे पास मैसेज आया है क्या मैं एक क्वेश्चन पूछ सकता हूँ। तो अनीता मैडम आपकी अगर इजाजत हो तो जगजीत करके लड़का है वो क्वेश्चन करना चाहता है, उसको आप मौका दे दीजिएगा।
जी जयंत, मैं चाहूंगी कि आप जगजीत का प्रश्न ले लें, क्योंकि मुझे कनेक्शन में थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, मैं मोबाइल से जुड़ी हूँ, प्रश्न दिख नहीं पा रहा है मुझे।
मैं देखता हूँ प्रश्न,
तब तक अगर
मैं तब तक बताता हूँ। देखिए
तब तक सिंह सर थोड़े इन प्रश्नों के जवाब दें।
सबसे पहले तैयारी कैसे करनी चाहिए। देखिए जब 4 लाख 5 लाख 8 लाख स्टूडेंट्स इसमें बैठते हैं, और भगवान ने जो बुद्धि दी है, हर एक IQ दिया है, वो तो जो दिया है सो दिया है, दैट इज टू सम एक्सटेंट जेनेटिक, और कितना हमने पढ़ा उसमें। सिर्फ आप एक चीज मदद कर सकते हैं, जो स्टूडेंट्स मैक्सिमम पढ़िए फ्रॉम द वेरी बिगनिंग। अगर पढ़िएगा नहीं, अपना नॉलेज गेन नहीं करिएगा, एंड नॉलेज हैज टू बी सिस्टमैटिक नॉलेज, आई मीन नॉलेज को सिस्टमेटाइज करके पढ़ना होगा, एंड try to read from as many higher level books as possible. उसके बिना ये पॉसिबल ही नहीं है कि आप कर सकें, because see what I am telling and which I keep on advising the students who are preparing for the IAS exams, the only thing what you can do is to do more knowledge, systematic knowledge. आप सोते हैं, खाते हैं, पीते हैं, उसके सिवा जितना टाइम बचता है, do studies only and systematically study करिए and read from the best possible books. That is the, there is no shortcut. There is no shortcut to knowledge. कोई ऐसी कुंजी नहीं होती जिसको लेके आप निकल सकिए. मैक्सिमम पढ़िएगा तभी हो सकता है. This is what Professor Saxena might have done in JNU जब MA का एग्जाम दे रहे, MA पढ़ रही होंगी. इस पढ़ाई के सिवा there is no other alternative, and this is what we all have to do. And as far as the political interfaces, I mean political things are concerned, भाई जो इलेक्ट हो के आया है, जिसको जनता ने इलेक्शन दिया है, आप कह रहे हैं कि वो हम पे दबाव कैसे डाल रहे हैं? भाई उसका he has got the first and foremost role to formulate a policy and to see that it is implemented properly. उसको तो करना है. We are helping him in that. So political pressure has to be taken in a positive manner. That political pressure जो होता है, it also helps us in formulating. See, I mean, हम रहें कि नहीं रहें, शुरू में जो एक बार सर्विस में आ जाते हैं, तो almost 36 साल, 35-36 साल तक we continue. Similarly, all of you in the university exams or otherwise also, we all continue for so long. I mean, एक बार हो जाइए तो जो होता है सो लेक्चरर में आता है, सो कंटिन्यूस प्रोफेसर भी हो ही जाता होगा. I mean, most of them. But at the same time, those who are coming in politics, हर एक 5 साल पे poor fellow, if you look at it from his viewpoint, हर एक 5 साल पे he has to take an exam. So he has to be very, very careful of what is happening and how he can further, I mean, do things जिससे उसका सिर्फ नाम होगा, but जनता की भलाई भी होगी. So these things have to be there, and we have to take the so-called political pressure in a positive way, and to see how we can work together, politicians as well as us, for the benefit of people.
जगजीत को अनम्यूट करें जयंत, ताकि वो अपना प्रश्न पूछ सके.
Yes, madam.
Unmuted. Am I audible?
Yes.
Jagjit, you will have to unmute yourself, huh? Perhaps.
Yes, I'm unmuted on my phone. Am I audible?
Yes.
I have two questions. One is in the entry process itself, and another one is one which came from the debate itself. I mean, from the talk. First of all, my regards to all the professors and CISA. So from the past 7 years, the ethics paper has been introduced, and the scorecard of the ethics paper has been a sine curve. 1 year, it's the entire batch gets marks as if it is rolled out. The next year, it's abysmal, like in the scores of 100. Another year, again, this year it was like 152 or 140. 140's average score was in 140s to 150s. Now that's a very high score considering the marks that are there in GS, in mains. So I don't get it. I mean, if I'm asked a certain question of ethics or a case study, I'll definitely give a positive outlook of the things that I've incorporated. So, I mean, what is the need to have an ethics paper? I mean, I may sound quite stupid on this one, but I don't think anyone who's writing the mains paper would get a negative outlook or in the answer. And secondly, there is this equality of opportunity and equality of outcomes. Of course, you also, I mean, Amit sir talked about it, you also talked about it, that we need a more inclusive society. But given the kind of society that we have, a multicultural society, and the number of castes, I myself am a Gurjar, and the kind of rail roco andolans these people do every year in Rajasthan. Currently, I'm in Rajasthan. So, everybody wants a piece of the pie, but nobody wants to get it through merit. Right? So where do we draw the line? Just a few days back, we had the 120th Constitutional Amendment Act. So where do we draw the line between opportunity, equality of outcome and equality of opportunity? Because every caste and every caste group wants that our people should be the officer, but nobody wants merit. So these are the questions.
Jagjit, unfortunately, I have not been, I mean, your audio was quite poor, actually. Professor Dholaki, you have been able to understand him. Maybe you may like to.
I think I could also not fully understand. Maybe you can write down your question.
You can write
One
down,
line,
then
you
perhaps, yeah.
Am I audible? Am I audible? Hello?
You are audible, but the voice breaks.
Your width is low, bandwidth is low, so it's better you write your question and be precise.
Am I audible now?
No, your bandwidth on the whole, Jagjit, is poor.
Oh, sorry.
So I mean, it may be not less than 2 or 3 Mbps, maybe hoga us level ka.
Yes, my Wi-Fi is not working.
So it's very poor, so it's very difficult for us. I mean, I thought that I'm the only one who has not heard, but others also have not been able to get you very well. So आप उसको लिख के कर दो. अगर if you are able to do it in the next 2 or 3 minutes, then maybe we are in a position to answer you also. Huh? Okay.
Otherwise, Jagdish bhai, you can mail to sir also, if sir allow.
और जब तक जगजीत अपना प्रश्न लिख रहे हैं, सर एक प्रश्न आया है लैंग्वेज को लेकर कि लैंग्वेज चूज करने में क्या सावधानी बरतें, और अगर अंग्रेजी या हिंदी जो चूज करना है तो क्यों चूज करना है और उससे क्या फायदा हो सकता है, किस प्रकार हो सकता है?
लैंग्वेज वही चूज करिए जिसमें आप प्रोफिशिएंट हैं. See, now UPSC interviews, I have also sat in some of them. UPSC जो इंटरव्यू भी कंडक्ट करते हैं वो भी हिंदी में भी करते हैं, इंग्लिश में भी करते हैं, एंड अदर लैंग्वेजेस आल्सो. सो इफ यू आर नॉट प्रोफिशिएंट इन इंग्लिश, प्लीज डू नॉट go for that particular language. If you are not proficient in writing English, please do not write in English. आप अपना language select करो ना. There is no, I mean, why should you think about that? अगर आप हिंदी में अच्छा हो, आप maybe Gujarati is also one of the language. You select your language जिसमें आप अच्छा हो और आप उसी को लिखो. And if you want language as an optional, उसमें भाई as the rumor goes around that optional में language select करने में अच्छा नंबर आता है. I'm not very sure of that, but उसमें कहते हैं कि अपने अपने language वाले सब देखते हैं and they give good marks. Okay, whatever it is, but please do select. I mean, जिस language में आप proficient हो उसी language को आप select करो, at least in writing the non-optional papers and for the interview. And as far as the optional papers, kindly take a full balanced view. कि आप जो subject में आपने जिसमें MA, BA, MSc, BSc के उसको लोगे या आप एक नया language लेना चाह रहे हो. So be very, very clear. There is UPSC does not look upon non-English students with any discriminatory manner. On the other hand, there is almost a conscious feeling that people from the so-called non-elitist sector should be pushed up further.
यहाँ पे सिंह साहब मैं एक छोटा सा एक्सपीरियंस जोड़ देती हूँ. इस साल अपनी आर्ट्स फैकल्टी से 3 बच्चे इंग्लिश लिटरेचर लेके इंटरव्यू में अपीयर हो रहे हैं. ये वो बच्चे हैं जिन्होंने 12th में आने के बाद फैकल्टी को ज्वाइन किया या EICS सेंटर को ज्वाइन किया. बहुत ही कंसंट्रेट होके किया. एक स्टूडेंट है जिसका साइंस बैकग्राउंड था. शी हैज डन कंप्यूटर्स बट शी हैज टेकन इंग्लिश लिटरेचर. तो ऑन 29 अगस्त उसका इंटरव्यू है, इंग्लिश लिटरेचर से है. तो टेकिंग द लैंग्वेज, I think that is an added advantage. I have known quite a few people who had made through English language. So you can go with any literature, Marathi literature, Gujarati literature.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
ये तो इंग्लिश का है. आप जरूरी नहीं है कि आपका माध्यम जो है अंग्रेजी हो. आप किसी भी माध्यम में रीजनल लैंग्वेज में जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अलाउ करता है, यूपीएससी ने उसको सम्मिलित किया है और हम उसके थ्रू प्रयास कर सकते हैं क्योंकि वो कॉन्फिडेंस देता है. हम अपने आप को इनोवेटिव तरीके से व्यक्त कर सकते हैं. ये मेरा एक छोटा सा पिछले 5-6 साल का एक्सपीरियंस रहा है, इसलिए मैंने आपके साथ यहाँ पर शेयर किया. थैंक यू.
नहीं, जस्ट प्रोफेसर सक्सेना, जस्ट अगर 3 स्टूडेंट इंटरव्यू में जा रहे हैं, then there is a particular group which are who is giving interview का, no, I won't say coaching but mock interviews. If they are interested in mock online interviews, they should, I mean, they can just contact me and I'll put them across or I'll send you the number. They can, I mean, online interview में अगर 29th August, if there is still some time, then they can do some online mock interview practice कर सकते हैं.
Sir, I will be putting Atul and Miss Gokhale in touch with.
हाँ, आप just उसका नंबर कर दीजिएगा. I'll send them the particular number through which they can contact.
Sure, sir. Yeah.
जयंत, मुझे लगता है कि अगर जगजीत जी प्रश्न आ गए हैं तो ठीक है, बाकी तो लगभग जितने प्रश्न आए थे विद्यार्थियों के, उन सबके उत्तर डॉक्टर JN सिंह जी ने बहुत ही सरलता से, बहुत ही स्पष्ट रूप से दिया है और मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगा। मैं एक बात यहाँ पर बहुत सहमति के साथ साझा करना चाहती हूँ JN सिंह जी से। आपने कहा ना कि बदलते हुए समय के साथ ब्यूरोक्रेट्स को भी बदलने की आवश्यकता है, और मैं यहाँ पर ये जोड़ना चाहूंगी कि निश्चित रूप से सभी क्षेत्रों में जितने भी लोग हैं सरकारी सेवा में, मैं यहाँ पर अपनी फील्ड को भी, अपने क्षेत्र को भी जोड़ रही हूँ। नई शिक्षा नीति आने के बाद, कोरोना आने के बाद, मुझे लगता है बदलते समय के साथ हम सभी को बदलने की जरूरत है। और जैसा कि आपने एक फोटो दिखाया था ना, कंपैरेटिव, पुराना वो फाइलों का ढेर है और दूसरा नया ई-गवर्नेंस है। तो मैं बहुत खुश हूँ जो ये ई सिस्टम चालू हुआ है, चाहे वो शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में हो, चाहे वो सिविल सर्विसेज में हो, प्रशासनिक सेवाओं में हो, जहाँ कहीं भी हो। तो निश्चित रूप से हमें बदलने की आवश्यकता है, देश के युवाओं को बदलने की आवश्यकता है। इसके लिए मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you. Thank you.
ओवर टू यू जयंत।
Can I
ओवर
go
टू यू
now?
जयंत।
Jayant?
Thank you very much, ma'am, for conducting question answer session. And still, if participant have question, then if JN Singh sir allow, we can put his mail ID.
Yeah,
So
you
participant
can put my mail ID. That's not an issue. But that apart, I mean, so are we calling it a finito?
Sir, we are having two questions from Jagjit. I'm reading it out. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes,
fully
yes,
audible.
ma'am.
Okay, the first question, the scorecard of ethics paper has been a sine curve 1 year, its highest, and the next is abysmal. Everyone has a positive approach. So what's the point? Instead have a physiological evaluation like the army. I think that I will put him in touch with you.
Yeah,
Better.
He can just
That
send me
would
an
be
email.
better. That would be better. Okay, so I will put Jagjit in touch with Dr. JN Singhi, sharing his email ID, which Jayant will be doing. So I think that question answer session has been addressed, or there are any other questions. Jayant, kindly see.
Ma'am, there is one question from Nidhi Chawda. She asks, what are good qualities? What qualities should we develop to become a successful administrator?
Nidhi, successful administrator, be a successful person, successful man, successful woman, nothing other than that. All the qualities that you can have otherwise, all the qualities of a good person are the qualities which will make you a successful administrator. If you are having a good IQ, good common sense, good common sense, good way, good empathy, you are a good person and you will be a good administrator. Nothing, no hard and fast rule. I mean, there is nothing like that. आप अच्छे आदमी हो तो अच्छा एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर बनोगे.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Neha. And thank you all. It has been a wonderful session. And in future also, I would like to be associated. In fact, I mean, I'm really surprised कि why IAS वाले में उतना नहीं कर पा रहे बच्चे. They are quite enthused and there should be. There should be in future, if you feel like I can do some sort of coaching or some motivation and all. So that can, I mean, I tell you, and of course, political science department is my parent department, and I mean, with all these people, I feel very much at home. And I had done BA history honor, so history also I feel that's my, I mean, one of the fundamental things I did from Patna University. So that also is one of the subjects that I would be associated with, like to be associated. Thank you, Neha, and thank you, Professor Saxena. Thank you, Professor Dholakia, Jayant, and everybody. Thank you, Professor Mukherjee. Thank you, Dr. Shukla. Thanks you. I can go now, Jayant?
Sir, just more 5 minutes.
Okay, let me continue.
Thank you, everyone. Now, I would like to request the dignitaries and participants to give a very short few minutes, few seconds feedback about the session. And I want to start with IAS JN Singh, sir. Sir, please give feedback.
I really like this. I mean, in a corona time, so many things were not possible, but you have been able to organize the thing very well. And despite a bandwidth problem at certain areas, it has, I think, it has really gone very well. one thing only I would like to suggest, if possible, try to shorten the things. Maybe the keynote speaker should not speak for more than 30 minutes, and the other speakers also try to limit the number of speakers. Otherwise, the session has been, and not more than 1 hour. Total thing, it should not be more than 1 hour. Wonderful thing. I mean, Jayant, and kudos to you. You have been able to gather people, professors from various faculties. Wonderful, wonderful. Once again, thanks. Great.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I would like to request Professor Amit Dholakia, sir, for feedback.
Well, it has been long, but जहाँ पर डॉक्टर जयंत सिंह ने समाप्त किया बात, मैं वहीं से शुरू करूँगा। उन्होंने जो एक आदर्श सिविल सर्वेंट की क्वालिटीज गिनाई, वो तकरीबन वो मोल्ड में पूरी तरह से फिट होते हैं। विनम्रता, एम्पैथी, सर्विस अप्रोच, ये तीनों डॉक्टर जयंत सिंह में पूरी तरह से पाए जाते हैं, और हमें खुशी है कि उनका मार्गदर्शन आज हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी के विद्यार्थियों को मिला। मैं विद्यार्थी को यही कहूँगा कि आप सिविल सर्विस की एग्ज़ाम के लिए तैयारी करिए, पूरी निष्ठा से तैयारी करिए, बट डोंट पुट ऑल एग्स इनटू वन बास्केट।
करेक्ट।
डॉक्टर जयंत सिंह, लेट मी टेल यू, मैं बहुत सारे विद्यार्थियों को कहते हैं कि मैं 7 साल से क्या कर रहे हो, ग्रेजुएशन के बाद बस सिविल सर्विसेज की तैयारी कर रहा हूँ। 5 साल निकल गए, 6 साल निकल गए, और कोई नौकरी भी नहीं ढूंढते हैं। ज़्यादातर वो लोग सक्सेसफुल होते हैं सिविल सर्विसेज में जो कोई अन्य क्षेत्र में ऑलरेडी एस्टेब्लिश है, वो कहीं और जॉब कर रहे हैं, कॉर्पोरेट में या कोई और क्षेत्र में। तो फुल टाइम 1 साल दीजिए, 2 साल दीजिए, लेकिन ऐसा मत करिए कि 5 साल, 6, 7 साल इसी में रहे, फिर आप यू आर लेफ्ट विद नो अदर चॉइस इन लाइफ। दूसरा, इट इज a test of analytical abilities, innovative thinking. Information तो प्रीलिम्स में आपकी टेस्ट की जाती है, मेंस का जो रिटर्न है और जो पर्सनालिटी टेस्ट है, वो दोनों आपकी एनालिटिकल एबिलिटीज को टेस्ट करते हैं। तो रोबोट की तरह मत बनिए। कोचिंग क्लासेस वाले कहते हैं कि ऐसे ही बैठना है, इस प्रश्न का ऐसे ही जवाब देना है, उस तरह मत बनिए। कुछ ओरिजिनलिटी, कुछ इनोवेशन आप दिखाएंगे अपनी थिंकिंग में, उससे आपको ज़्यादा मार्क्स प्राप्त होने की संभावना है। और एक सर्विस अप्रोच रखिए। इट्स नॉट जस्ट फॉर पावर दैट यू वांट टू बिकम अ सिविल सर्वेंट, बिकॉज यू रियली वांट टू डू समथिंग गुड फॉर दिस कंट्री। आज 14 अगस्त है और महात्मा गांधी का टेलिस्मेन हमें याद रखना है। जब तक वीकेस्ट और पुअरेस्ट जो भारत का नागरिक है, उसके जीवन में हमारी जो भी प्रवृत्ति है उससे हम कुछ गुजारा नहीं ला सकते हैं, तब तक हमें ठहरना नहीं। सिविल सर्विसेज का मेन काम यही है कि स्वराज के साथ साथ सुराज्य की ओर हम आगे बढ़े, गुड गवर्नेंस की ओर आगे बढ़े। तो आज का ये सेशन बहुत ही अच्छा रहा। डॉक्टर जयंत सिंह ने अपने बहुत ही व्यस्त शेड्यूल के बावजूद इतना ज़्यादा समय हमें दिया, और मैं उनके साथ 100% एग्री हूँ कि हमें बहुत ही शॉर्ट और एक क्रिस्प प्रोग्राम की आयोजन करना चाहिए, और आगे के समय में उनका ये सूचन को ध्यान में रखते हुए हम इसी तरह से करें, ऐसा मेरा जयंत और अन्य जो भी उत्साही विद्यार्थीगण उनको अनुरोध है। Once again, thank you very much on behalf of all the organizers. जयंत आगे की कार्यवाही के लिए सूचित करें।
Thank you very much, sir. Now, if anyone from audience want to convey something, then they can mention in chat box, or they can also raise their hand, so we can unmute them also.
मुझे लगता है समय ज़्यादा हो गया है जयंत, तो
sir, just
10%
one
सीमित
person
रखें।
from audience. Just anyone, Haley Patel.
Just
Unmute
one
karo.
person.
Yes, one feedback.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Yes,
you are
yes.
audible.
So thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful and an enlightening session. I'm so grateful to attend this session. I will be more grateful for me to attend more sessions like this. So thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Haley. Now I want to invite last Professor Aja Saxena ma'am.
Not taking much time, I would be requesting Singh Saab, Amit Bhai to remain connected with us, because at AICS there is new enthusiasm. There is new enthusiasm in other faculties also, whether it is commerce faculty or our own arts faculty. Even science faculty students are taking upon for the civil services at the state level as well as at the central level. So would be connecting with you. And as I have known that Singh Saab is connected in real sense with the academics part of the history. So sir, maybe I would be inviting, talking to my colleagues on the platform of history. And we have just started with NEP, Indian Knowledge System. We are looking at culture, we are looking at language. So maybe an occasion comes where we will be indulging ourselves in looking into how actual implementation of the new education policy is possible, and what could be the perspectives where at least the Faculty of Arts can be focusing. So it's like looking for the roadmap, and for this roadmap, I would be looking forward to all of you, inclusive of Sinha Saab, because he is part and parcel of the arts family fraternity. With this, I thank all the participants, all the resource person, and look for another feast in terms of webinar of 1 hour, which has been suggested by our resource person, because otherwise it becomes too long. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much on the behalf of the entire faculty and all the collaborative partners. Dhanyavad.
My thanks to all of you also. Thank you once again. Bye.
Thank you very much. Now I want to invite Muskan Sharma to play to play national anthem. Muskan.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा। तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा। जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Thank you everyone for joining us and making this possible. I hope that we will have many more interactive sessions